All right, so for the month of October, um, like most years, I try to do a movie marathon for horror movies in the month of October. Usually, we kind of do this like movies we've seen, maybe a few different movies, but this year we actually did movies we've never seen, so that made it a lot harder, but a lot more interesting because it kind of lets you see a lot of things maybe you've just been putting off, things like that. So we made a tier list of the movies we watched this year, and we're gonna go through it. I'll be on camera, but we're both here. We're gonna go through and put it from S, which is top, top tier, which might only honestly be like one or two movies, to absolute dog shit, which is F, which a lot of movies might actually go there. But I believe we got how many movies?
30?
Rough. It should be 30 movies. So, because there were some days we were watching, three a day, and some where we skipped a day. So it should roughly be enough for the month of October. So we've got it lined up here, and we'll basically just go as it's lined up and kind of talk about each movie. So is this actually in the order that we watched it?
So I put it in the order of how we watched it.
Okay. Well, even better then.
So first one is The Fog.
Yeah, so the first movie we watched is John Carpenter's The Fog. I've seen the remake. I don't know if you've seen the remake.
No, I haven't.
But it's all right. I mean, it was like an early 2000s kind of thing. It wasn't...
It had a certain vibe to it that I liked.
Well, I was talking about the remake.
Oh, the remake, yeah.
This one, it's an interesting vibe for sure. I don't
Wasn't
know.
scary at all.
Wasn't scary, and it's all over the place. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it for
Oh, yeah.
no fucking reason. She's just there to be some lady who gets fucked by Tom Atkins again. I don't know why people kept... Actually, John Carpenter. I don't know why people kept putting him. Because it's this and Halloween 3.
Oh, my God.
Where, if you haven't seen Halloween 3... Tom Atkins is in that one and randomly finds a young lady to fuck at random. And in The Fog, it's the same thing. He meets Jamie Lee Curtis really for no reason.
Can you not just put a screenshot of them in bed together?
God,
How stupid
I
they
should.
look?
I should. Yeah. I might. If I feel like editing this, I'll put it. But it's a cool concept where you're like, oh, okay, the town did some bad shit in the past and they're getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
But like
it was very slow paced,
which isn't always bad, but the first time you see the ghost ship, it's kind of cool because it's those three fishermen, and then you see the lights going out and the guy's like, hey, where's everyone? And
I forgot about that. Was actually not a bad thing.
So it was a good introductory scene, but everything else was so like it's Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis, where it's like, I don't care. The priest, his story was kind of cool, but then the fog rolls into the town, and you see there's no scenes of the town fleeing from the fog.
No.
There's nothing. It's just boom, 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 comes into the town. It's the lighthouse lady, Tom Atkins, and Jamie Lee Curtis. And
then there was that older lady who was like, what is she, like a governor or something?
Oh, yeah, the city
assistant.
lady. Right, yeah, they go. I mean, it's just so... The movie both feels so long.
It does.
And, yeah, so, like, wow, it was kind of an empty-ass movie.
Yeah.
Which is sad because we like John Carpenter's other movies.
We do,
obviously,
yeah.
The Thing, and... I mean, I like Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness, but... It was just such a disappointing horror movie, and
I'm trying to remember if there were any other good scenes. The scene where she's in like the autopsy room, and you just know the thing is about to come back to life. That wasn't horrible, but it was just so like you knew it was gonna happen.
It was pretty.
It took the scare away, but
I did like that. Yeah, no, and even at the end, it just when you really see the the guys up close, like the ghost pirates. It's just like,
looks like a cheap Halloween costume.
Yeah, it just not worth. What would you say this one is?
I don't think I would say it's like dog shit F tier.
See, I didn't hate it and I didn't like it.
I would
say it's honestly like, it's like
a pure mid.
It's like here.
Okay.
It's like, it's below at, it's there.
If you're with people who don't like actual scary movies and they just want the vibe of like Halloween-y kind of vibe, I could see it.
Yeah. That kind of people. I think the music was pretty good, but obviously it's very reminiscent of like Halloween.
Yeah. It
so
is.
It was okay. It was all right. The next movie is more new. I mean, this just came out literally like late September. I had seen clips of this and people talking about it on TikTok, and so I was like, okay, might as well check it out on Hulu, because we have Hulu. So I like alien movies, alien invasion movies. I think those are pretty spooky. I know those make you a little uncomfortable.
Those are the scariest to me.
But this one wasn't bad. I didn't hate it.
You know what I will say? You said that there's no dialogue, and it's almost like you forget that there's no dialogue when you're watching it. Because it is very interesting, and so you're like, you forget like, oh, I've watched almost like over an hour, and no one has said a single word.
They definitely do a good job of showing without dialogue.
Yeah, like they're not explaining every little thing to you, which is kind of
But there's enough of what you're seeing imagery wise that you're like, okay.
What did you think about the girl herself?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just,
I thought the actress did a really good job.
Yeah, I obviously at first it was kind of like, really, she's not talking at all, like, really, but yeah, it was. Once you figure out why she is where she is, it's like, oh fuck, okay. And her interactions with the alien feels relatively realistic.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's scared, she's running away. She's not really trying to fight it.
They don't hide the alien from you either.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. I get kind of tired when it's just like you just see a glimpse. But this, it like full on shows you, and it's never like hidden after that.
That's true. They maybe for like the first minute they'll kind of hide the alien, but yeah, it's not long before you see the alien, and it's a pretty normal alien design.
Yeah.
A little bit different, because like you see the alien's feet, and they basically look like this, like.
Well, but then they had like the 3 different types.
Yeah.
I like that real big one they had.
That's true. They have like a big spider crab alien that's like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
That was good. It was definitely a spooky movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely
I really
creepy.
liked it until the point where I told you I think this, like, I thought it was the end. After it kept going on when I thought it had already ended, I was like, okay, what is going on? I didn't like the end where...
Yeah, it was cool when it was like, it's making her dream because she got the alien in the mouth, but then she's like,
and then
oh,
it had
fuck.
this whole other side plot of like, why does everyone in the town hate her?
Yeah.
And you're like kind of unwrapping that and figuring that out, which is nice, but
then they do a scene, and this is spoilers too, but they show the aliens, like probing her, because they've got like a probe alien in her mouth, and the aliens are talking, and you have no idea what they're saying. There's no subtitles, nothing. And so they see something in her because they abduct her. And then they do this weird probing thing where they look at her memories. They say a bunch of shit. They don't tell you what they're saying. And then they drop her back off on Earth. But then you see that the aliens have basically taken over. And they've taken over most humans. And they've left her alone. She's like friendly now to them.
She doesn't have like mind control either at all.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's allowed to have free will, but then everyone else in the town is now her best friend basically, and they have the alien mind control thing in their throat, and it just ends like all happy. And I was like, Like, what are you trying to do, movie? Like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, and it was like, her thing was she basically killed her best friend.
Yeah.
And they were like, we like what we see in you.
Yeah. You know, it turns out that when she was a kid, she got mad at her friend and beat her in the head with a rock.
Didn't she just throw it or something?
Yeah, she like, it looked like she like fell, grabbed a rock, and then went boom, and it just killed a friend in one hit, and that's why they were like, no one in the town likes her. It's like, okay, well.
They never really said to. Did she go to prison? Was she coming back from prison?
Right?
I don't even know.
Yeah, and her parents are gone, and
I think they're dead. Her parents are like dead or something.
I think so. I can't fully remember, but
there's a lot to unpack in this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie you'd probably watch one more time and be like,
oh yeah,
okay, like now that I kind of get.
I wouldn't hate to rewatch it either, because it was like they had scares where you're like, oh, you know, like.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that you'd rewatch again.
But was it S tier? I don't think it was S tier.
I would say it's teetering.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Here.
A or B.
So it's.
What do you think?
We can put it here for now. Maybe when we start putting other movies here, we might change our minds on what classifies as.
That's true.
A. Shrink that a little bit. Is this Hellfest?
Yes, Hellfest.
Okay. Yeah, this is a.
I was surprised that I.
Yeah, this was
so well
done. This was one that I saw a trailer for when it first came out, and I was like, okay, it looks like an interesting slasher movie. I saw the Rotten Tomatoes, and not that Rotten Tomatoes means anything, but was really low, like in the teens, and just calling it a super shitty movie. I mean, but it looks like a classic early 2000s horror movie where it's
like a teen slasher.
Yeah, teen slasher, but now it's at an amusement park. And so the premise is pretty simple. There's a amusement park called Hellfest, which is, it's kind of like those things you hear about sometimes on Google and stuff where you can go to those haunted houses, sign a waiver, and they'll torture the fuck out of you, and you're supposed to, I guess, love it, but it's an amusement park, and so these group of friends are like, ooh, fuck, let's go. And there's a guy that shows up, and, he just basically picks someone at random, or maybe not. Was it that he picks girls who are like, fuck Halloween, like, I'm not scared?
It kind of was
right?
like that,
okay.
Because they showed the first girl he kills is like that. The first girl's like, screw you, dude, I'm not even scared.
That's right, yeah.
And then she walks in on him murdering her, and she's like, this is stupid.
That's right. She's like, fake.
Yeah.
That's right. But I think they do a good job of, like, how the killer is wearing a mask that a bunch of the workers wear.
I did like the fake out that they do when she's on that roller coaster.
Yeah, that's right.
Herself.
Yeah, there's a point where, closer to the end of the movie, where they go to, they're going to, like, the hardcore place, and it's a little ride, and the ride breaks down. And then she looks in the distance, and you see what the killer's been wearing throughout the whole movie. And then it fakes out. And turns out all the workers in that area dress like that. And so that was
like a planned stop to freak her out.
That was a good one. Most of the kills, I mean, they're pretty generic. I mean, he just kind of kills them with a knife, or a hammer or whatever. But it was. I don't know. It was predictable and yet like, okay. Oh, what was it? Her friend does a fake out head chopping off.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
That's right. And then she's like screaming and throwing a fit because she's like, my friend is about to get her head chopped off. And then they're like, haha, it's a fake. But then the curtains go down and then that guy is like, yeah.
He's like, we're doing it for real
now.
Yeah,
and it's funny because he keeps trying to chop her head off because, in most horror movies, it'd be stupid where for whatever reason he does it and just chop her head off.
It has like a real blade.
Yeah, but no, in this one, like, it's a fake blade, so he keeps dropping it and it's like not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And so
she's able to get away.
Yeah, she gets away.
I think she gets killed. Like, he like runs after her and they get with the group and he's just like kills him.
That's right. Yeah, and stabs the other guy in the chest. That's right. And then that's when the whole crowd is like, "Oh my god."
Yes.
Yeah. Not bad. Could definitely
be.
Yeah, definitely B. Weirdly enough, I could see myself rewatching it again.
Oh, for sure. I'd watch it
and enjoying it because it's just such a, like, again, it feels like a early 2000s slasher flick, basically.
I loved the vibe of it because it's very, like you said, the slasher flick,
Yeah.
but it feels very, like, it's like the killer is kind of smug about it, and it's just, like, the way the kills take place is kind of interesting.
And they do a thing that's so funny because it's right out of the book of the Collector.
Yeah.
Where at the very end, the killer escapes, goes home, and turns out he has, like, he lives in, like, a rich-ass bougie neighborhood house.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh my god, I mean...
Could be anybody.
Yeah, well, mind you, like, if you've never watched a horror movie in your life, you'd be like, oh my god, is he about to kill that kid?
Yeah.
But then the kid's like, Daddy! And
you see it coming,
yeah,
for sure.
It's right out of The Collector, where he goes home and it's just some dude, normal person, which I assume, the creepiness of that is that, like, oh, it can literally be just some random dude with a family who's just like, I'm gonna go kill people.
Yeah. I was expecting the last scene to be, like, back at those girls' apartment, and he's, like, about to kill them after he escaped.
True.
But then when it did that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So.
It's... Yeah,
I think it's, like, about a B.
Yeah, we'll just put that as a B.
Better than, like, middle of the road. We'd watch it again, but maybe not the most creative.
Yeah. This is definitely
we already know it's S tier.
Yeah, I would put this as a S. This is a shocking one that, because you look at the name and you watch the trailer, and it sounds really fucking stupid.
It sounds like something you've seen before.
Yes, it
like
sounds
corny.
like a very stupid meme movie. Honestly, it reminds me of, like, I don't think you've seen it, but, like, Wish Upon and, like, just these shitty horror movies where you're like, what is it? Truth or Dare. That's what it reminds me of. Where the demons in that movie also kind of, like, smile. Yeah. And it's just so stupid. And so I think a lot of people associated Smile with that and just felt like, nah, like, this isn't going to be good. But
I definitely felt like that. And so when it wasn't like that, I was, like, blown away.
Yeah, no, this is, like, a really refreshing, spooky horror movie to watch.
Wouldn't you say this is, like, the first time in a while that you've gotten scared like that?
Yeah, it was definitely... Watching it just made me so uncomfortable and genuinely like, ooh, like, I'm creeped out, which usually never happens.
I know.
Of all the movies we watched, this was the only one where I was like, oh, I just get this creepy feeling watching.
I was about to say the same thing. Out of all these movies, that's the only one that kind of kept me up at night.
Yeah, it's just, I don't
and
know.
we watched it real late at night, and we had, like, it was on a Sunday.
Yeah,
and we were like, oh, just Smile.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, I don't know. It's one of those movies where you're sitting on the couch watching in the dark, and you just get this uncomfortable feeling. You're like, ooh. And they do a relatively good job of not being too predictable. By the end, there was some level of predicting it, but I was also like, well, she's either going to
be okay and make it through, or this is a fake out.
Yeah.
You can see that coming.
Yeah, and the whole thing with this movie is that there's some curse that started, and the whole thing is if someone watches someone, what's a YouTube appropriate word?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Alive themselves. There you go. If you see someone unalive themselves, you get cursed.
Yeah.
But the kind of stupid part is that it's not like it just happens because people are willingly doing that. Whatever the Smile demon is, it takes over you, and eventually, if you fight it too long, it just makes you unalive yourself in front of someone so that the curse can be transferred.
That's true.
So I kind of didn't like that because I was like, well, then what's the point? Like it's
the
just
monster's just doing it.
Yeah, but it's a neat idea, and like, they're like, oh my god, we gotta go back to the beginning. Like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yes.
It does a good job of the Smile demon makes you see things, and so there's scenes in the movie where the protagonist thinks that she's talking to one person, but then it turns out it's not that person, because like she'll come home and she's like, well,
she thinks it's the therapist.
Yeah, she's like, why the fuck are you here? And she's talking to her therapist, and then she gets a phone call from her therapist. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, I canceled our meeting. And then, like, the therapist gets up and is all fucking creepy. It's like, oh.
That was a good scene.
Shit.
And obviously, you had kind of seen it already, but the scene with the sister's neck.
Yes.
That literally, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I saw that on TikTok because I feel like it was a meme. But yeah, there's a jump scare where she's in her car and it's like the camera's in the passenger side facing out, you know, like if I was sitting here at that window. And so you see someone, you know, it's her sister walking up and like knock on the window. And it's just this like creepy blurred face on like a skeleton twig neck.
Well, and
just
it's like her neck turns to like elastic.
Yeah.
It's so freaky.
Very creepy.
And I feel like I didn't see it coming, even though you're like, oh, a jump scare's about to happen. I didn't see it coming because it's like the sister in the scene is pissed. And she's walking out angrily. I'm like, she's about to scream at her and be like, you know, I thought it was going to be like that, but...
Yeah, and they do a good job of, like, you know, because the whole thing is, like, she thinks she's going crazy, and it's like, oh my god, but then you as an audience don't really know anything else than she does, so
that's true.
You get to feel what she's feeling because you're like, oh my god, what? Like, when she's wrapping the toy train for her nephew, and then at the birthday party, when he opens it up, it's her dead cat.
That was such a horrible scene, yes.
And they're all like, what the fuck? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
So you can, like, see it from an outsider being like, this lady's crazy, but also you see it as her who, you saw her wrapping that package, and it wasn't that. And so it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I think you're right, they did such a good job of, like, even you as an audience member, you're like, so is she crazy? Because you find out that her mom had a history of, like, depression and kind of, like, psychosis, and so you're like, is the twist at the end gonna be like, okay, no, she did all of this, she's psycho, but then when it's not, it's like, oh my god, even crazier.
Well, and then by the end there's like whole ass scenes where you're like, oh my god, what? But then it just reverts back and you're like, oh, it didn't even happen, but it made her see, like, where she went in the hospital and killed that crazy guy. But then she was like, oh my god, I didn't even do it.
Yeah,
it was just,
she's like sitting in the car.
Yeah,
okay.
No, it was well.
And I thought the monster at the end, I was just like, that thing looks horrible.
Yeah, it's sad that it's one of those things where sometimes it's like, it's better when you don't see it necessarily, almost like the Babadook.
Yeah.
Because you're like, your imagination lets you imagine like, oh my god, I can't even conceive what this could be.
Yeah.
So when it shows it as this like goofy ass, lanky, pale skinned, androgynous thing, it's like, I mean, it's spooky, but I was like,
I mean, I'm talking about the part too where it like turns inside out. Remember when it's like gets really big at the end, turns inside out, and it's like red?
2 hours later.
Damn, I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember that, but
you need to edit, flash it on the screen. Jump
I know,
scare.
right? Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those.
I was so shocked at how good it was, and it's probably, I think, the best movie that we saw on this.
Yeah, a couple of minor complaints, but overall, like, leagues better than just about everything else we watched on here. This was already given S tier.
S tier. That was
boom.
Like, okay, the next one.
Yeah.
Another S tier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Totally S tier. Yeah. Grim Cuddy. Actually, Grim Cuddy. God. Yeah. It's a Hulu original.
You know what sucks? Remember at the beginning we kind of were like, maybe they could pull out a good movie.
That's true.
And then like kind of halfway through they screw up the whole movie.
Yeah. So from the get-go, okay, so you look at the poster. You know what? I might actually enlarge it here.
Yeah.
You look at the poster, you're like, ooh, that looks kind of spooky. Okay, like whatever. The monster design is dog shit. And looks goofy as fuck. I don't know what the budget.
They kind of make fun of it in the movie too. Like all the kids have it. They had that projector on the
yeah,
house.
They're like, haha, like the whole movie is that basically a creepypasta like Slender Man is alive and making kids hurt themselves so that
I don't know what the point was, actually.
Yeah, well, you find out that Grim Cuddy only exists because of basically how parents react to their kids.
Right,
Yeah. It's not that kids believe in him, it's how angry parents get at their kids for basically like not listening.
And just the fear and anxiety parents have.
The fear and anxiety of what parents have create Grim Cuddy and bring it alive.
Which could have been such a good spin on this trope that you see in all of these movies where it's like an urban legend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids or what. And I thought that part could have been done so well, but they just like couldn't do it. They just messed up the movie. And
yeah, even from the beginning, it literally becomes like an epidemic.
Yeah.
Where like school is canceled, parents are freaking the fuck out, and the whole thing is like the Grim Cuddy will like attack a kid where it looks like the kid cut themselves or whatever, and then the parents freak out even more, and then some mommy blogger who got stabbed by her son created like rules for parents so that kids aren't on their phone and stuff, which is like lock away your kid's phone and just act like batshit crazy. And it's just like the movie just felt like it was the same scene over and over again.
It did.
Grim Cuddy shows up, attacks the main girl, her parents freak out, she tries to run away, and it's just like rinse and repeat. Until she finally figures out, like, the lady who kind of started it, and like, she's crazy as fuck, has her son locked up, and you're just like, okay. Like,
only the main character's mom is the reason why it was able to stop. Because she was the only one that was like, okay.
Yeah, well, and like, of course, because it's a movie, every time Grim Cuddy is doing something, and mind you, stupidest fucking name ever, God.
It's like the Bye Bye Man.
I know, the Bye Bye Man, Grim Cuddy. It's, when Grim Cuddy's making kids cut themselves, the parents will walk in, but they don't really see him, so they're like, "Oh my god!" Like, "Oh."
But it's Grim Cuddy grabbing their arms. And
then at the very end, Grim Cuddy's just like, "Fuck this," and just grabs a kid like this, and then so the kid's floating, and then everyone.
And then the dad's like, "You were right."
Yeah, the dad's batshit crazy, trying to like stab the daughter with like a tranquilizer. She fucking stabs him like in the gut with scissors.
I know.
And then he finally sees Grim Cuddy pick her up, and he's like, "Oh my god, I believe you." But it's like every other like 1,000 kids, he's just like, "I'm gonna make you look like you cut yourself." And at the very end, he's just like, "Fuck you!" Like grabbing kids by the throat.
He was just tired of it.
Yeah, and then that's when everyone's like, "Oh my god, Grim Cuddy's real."
Yeah, so dumb.
I could see myself rewatching it probably with a group of friends to meet like as a meme.
For shits and giggles, for sure.
But it was dog shit. It's.
I think it deserves F tier.
Yeah, it's. Well, and another thing is it being like a Hulu original is kind of like offensive because those are Hulu original movies. Like, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily made by Hulu, but like Prey. Prey was like
that's true.
a Hulu exclusive, so I'm like, okay.
It's not like a straight to DVD type movie.
Oh, now this feels like a straight to DVD. This feels like a fucking Walmart $5 bin movie.
Yes.
Fucking terrible.
Okay, next
this
one
is Layer. So, Layer is interesting because it's clearly a straight to DVD movie.
Yeah.
Not the worst movie I've seen. But feels very predictable. I feel like I was almost able to just predict like the outcome.
For sure. But the thing is, like, I think this night we were wanting a movie, like, we were like, what's an Alien or a Predator movie? But
That's
not
true.
that. One that we haven't seen. And so it did kind of give us what we wanted.
Yeah, so a quick synopsis is this movie takes place in the Middle East. A British like Air Force lady crashes, finds this weird underground lab, and is being chased by.
What the heck were they?
I'm not gonna say terrorists because maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Middle Eastern group of some origin.
Like super soldiers kind of thing.
Oh, I'm talking about remember, she's being chased by, like, I don't know, Al Qaeda or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then they chase her into that bunker. And then they get killed by that super soldier monster.
Yeah.
And then she escapes. Links up with a weird American group of soldiers that the U.S. government fucking hates, and left them there.
They literally were like,
because
these delinquents.
Yeah, they literally do like a fucking Suicide Squad character montage where they're like,
oh yeah, they do.
That guy is here because he doesn't like to listen. That girl's here because she steals all the time. And they're like, that guy killed 3 people. And you're like, what? Would the U.S. government do that? That seems kind of weird, but...
I feel like they would just dishonorably discharge
Yeah, dishonorably
you.
discharge. Like, get the fuck out of here. But then it's like the monsters escape the lab, and they're ex-humans who were tested on and are now, like, mutant creatures.
Yeah. They don't look bad. I
No,
thought the
yeah.
design was not
That's
bad.
something. For a cheap movie, the practical effects for the monster are great. I mean, obviously, it's your humanoid monster. Basically looks human minus the head.
Yeah. They spent all their money on that. The practical effects. And when they do the autopsy, they spend all their money on that.
Yes. That
and
was
they have
good.
basically 2 different sets. That's the only
Yeah,
places
2
you ever
different
see them.
sets, and
The acting was not.
no, yeah, the acting and dialogue was pretty horse shit. Fucking generic, what you would expect, like Hollywood army guy and
British lady.
Yeah,
Fall in love
and
instantly.
and it was just the weirdest thing where their like head captain guy or whatever, who's got an eye patch, of course. He they're killing the monster. It looks like they're about to kill the I mean, they're shooting him. He's like going down, and then he just fucking pulls a grenade and is like, "Get out of here!"
I know.
Hugs the fucking monster and
They definitely could have handled it.
Yeah, blows himself up. I'm like, why? You were fucking winning.
And that was right after he said, "I'm gonna get you guys out of here."
Yeah. He was like, "It's my job to get you guys out of here," and then blows himself up. It was just so dumb. And yeah, you find out that it was like, oh, the Russians, were testing on.
Oh yeah, because there's that one character who's from that area.
Yeah.
And he's like, people were getting stolen.
Yeah, he
out
was
of the town.
He's like a driver for the whatever group. He was
he's
like
basically being forced to do it.
being forced to do it. And he was like, during the I guess Afghanistan versus Russia, I believe.
Did we look that up? Is that a real thing?
No, yeah, that was a real thing.
Okay.
That was a real thing. But how they spin it for the movies, like the reason why Russia was invading is that there was a ginormous spaceship that crashed, and so they were trying to mix alien DNA with human DNA, and so they were kidnapping Iraqis or Afghanis and testing on them. And so you're like, oh fuck. And weirdly, it shows like the hive mind alien. The main alien.
Yeah.
You see its face because it's being held in something, but then they don't do anything with it.
That's true.
I was like, oh, it's not gonna talk or anything. I don't know, something. It wasn't bad. It was an interesting.
I'd watch it again.
Yeah, I'd probably watch it again. It was a low budget monster movie that was. It knew what it was. It was enjoyable, and they did enough of like a that's pretty cool.
I feel like it didn't take too long to do anything too. Like
that's true. They didn't
kind of like you said did like the Suicide Squad thing, but that was like the longest.
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because basically they're like, yeah. You. Okay, it's nighttime. Oh my God, we're under attack.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, I'd say this is up here with this. I'd say it's B.
It's fair.
It's
what
B.
do you think, Kiki?
What? Well, come here. Sweet baby. Talk to me. That was a good one.
This was a really good one.
This would actually, I would say probably is S.
I think that is my other S tier one for sure.
Yeah, so this was a movie. I saw the trailer for it when it first came out, and I was like, damn, that actually looks interesting.
Yeah.
And it's made by these 2 YouTubers. And I think this might be their first movie or second movie. and it was pretty crazy how good it was done, because I've never seen a horror movie where the idea is that the main MacGuffin of the movie is used in like a party trick way.
Yes.
It was so like no one was really scared, even when they were starting to see like the
Creepy
dead
stuff,
people.
yeah.
They were like laughing, like you get high off
Yeah.
the adrenaline, you know, because
I loved it because they set it up so like realistic, where you're like, I can see teenagers nowadays doing this. And so when it turns at the end with that last boy, you like almost you see it coming, because there's a reason why the sister's like, no, he can't do it.
Yeah.
But then when something happens, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
no. I would
no.
say the movie. I mean, a quick synopsis for this one. Basically, there's a porcelain hand, and if you hold it, say "talk to me," you'll see a dead person. And then if you say "I let you in," they'll take over your body. And as long as you only let them take your body for like 60 seconds or whatever, and then someone pulls the hand off your hand, you're fine. But then if it lasts longer, there's potentially like irreversible possession where the ghost will take over you forever. And so, I mean, to me, it really almost felt like a metaphor for like drug use or really anything, like how kids become addicted to things and how it like destroys your life because they become addicted.
Like it's a joke to everyone else, but then one person will do it, and then it's like their whole life is over.
Yeah, and they become addicted to it, and that's the whole thing. Is like the main character, her friend has a little brother, and the little brother is like really good friends with the main character, and he's like, you know, oh please, like my sister said no, but I just want to do it real quick, and she's like, all right, fine, and then it just fucks up so bad.
It's slightly the girl's fault too, because the time limit had stopped, and she was like, wait, it's my mom.
Yeah, her mom's
just
ghost.
A little bit longer.
Yeah, well, and we don't even know if it was actually her mom.
That's true, we don't.
It could have been another ghost, but yeah, and so it's like, you know, the pressure of like, you know, social trends, peer pressure, wanting to impress your friends, stuff like that, and then right at about the end, I was like, I'm pretty positive where this is going.
Yeah, she was just gonna be the next one in the cycle.
Yeah, at the end, she becomes a ghost, and then when she realizes it, someone else in like Turkey or Spain
it was like,
or France or something is playing, somehow has the hand now and is playing, and you know, so it's like, who knows how long it's been.
Yeah.
But then she realizes she's the ghost, and it's like, oh fuck, like damn. But I mean, there's so many, it's like she's just so batshit crazy by the end. You're like, damn, like I could really see how this is like drugs allegory, but it's just so refreshing, and so
it was very well done.
Yeah. No, I this is definitely along with Smile, just go watch it. Like nothing will do it justice than you going to watch it. And of course, I mean, if you absolutely hate it and think it's dog shit, you're more than welcome to say that. I would definitely like to hear
for sure.
I would definitely like to hear that if someone absolutely hated it. I would definitely want to hear why they absolutely hated it, because I would be confused. What is this?
Okay, this is.
Oh, it's the bathroom one?
This is the bathroom one. This is we need to do something.
Okay. So.
And I think I picked this because I was
maybe.
like, I heard good like reviews on it.
Yeah.
I saw good reviews.
So, this is a movie that takes place in one room, and mind you, that's not always a bad thing, because movies like Devil were fantastic. Well, mind you, there are parts of Devil that don't take place just in the elevator, but overall the movie takes place in an elevator, and they did I love the movie Devil. I think it's great. I think it's spooky. It's definitely,
it feels claustrophobic.
Yeah,
it's
rewatchable. And so I'm like, perfect. This movie, it's tough because it takes place in a bathroom. A family gets trapped because a storm comes and a tree falls on the door and they can't get out. And then it appears like there's something outside, like a demon or something, torturing them, and they're trying to figure out why.
It's like the apocalypse has started.
Yeah, which you don't find that out till almost the end, where you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's like the emo daughter met a girl who became her girlfriend who's like a witch, and they somehow started the apocalypse. And so
it implies they killed that guy.
Yeah,
they took a picture of them or something.
Yeah, some guy at their school or something took a picture of them while they were kissing. And so they wanted to put a curse on him that would like make him either lose his tongue or choke on his tongue, and he died. And then somehow that leads into starting the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And then it's like the descent into madness for the family, where you're like, okay, like it's, I don't know. This movie reminded me of this other movie I know called The Divide, which I own it, but I haven't shown you. But it's like it's these people trapped in an apartment complex basement after a nuke goes off, and it's like their descent into madness. And I was like, well, it reminds me a lot about that, and it was just so predictable to me. Where I'm like, let me guess, the dad's gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
One of them's gonna kill each other or die. You know, and there's some what seems like symbolism, like the snake that keeps showing up.
The snake.
The daughter keeps having dreams of her girlfriend. It's just,
I hate that. I do think the actors all did a really good job, but it's like they were given a script that didn't have much to it, but then they just all acted their asses off.
Yeah.
And so they had a good performance, but it was like the material they had was like, okay, the dad's gonna be like, who was that dude you were talking? You know what I mean? So it's like they like had stupid shit to work from.
Well, and then because I guess it's based off a book, which obviously I didn't read or anything, but the end when the mom escapes but then comes back, she's just like covered in blood, and she's like, and then the last second is something breaks down the door, and they're like, cuts off.
I know.
I'm like, really?
So you actually don't see anything other than a snake biting the son.
Yeah, and you hear a voice once where it turns out it might be like a demon or something, and then you hear like neighbors shooting some kind of monster.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it sometimes where it's like tell, don't show, I guess. But in a movie like this, I was like,
they didn't show a single thing though. Not even like a glimpse of anything. So
honestly, it also reminded me of the very end of In the Mouth of Madness, when the Eldritch horror apocalypse actually happens. You don't get to see it, but then he leaves like the insane asylum. He's like walking around the city. He's like,
it's like this happened already.
And it already happened. You're like,
you're like, I was waiting.
I want to see it. Like, God damn it.
I agree.
And so it's just such a fucking I hate when it's like, okay, you clearly didn't have a high budget, so you're just doing a one room thing.
Yeah.
And then that's why it's like, they're acting their ass off, but God, really? You can't show me even like a arm coming through the door, and it's some kind of like fucked up.
And obviously, I've never done anything like this, so it's like hypocritical for me to say, but I feel like in this day and age, it'd be easy to CGI something. Because if you're not showing the whole thing, you could CGI a glimpse of something and make it.
Well, there's people on fucking YouTube making like animation short stuff, so it's like, like, I would definitely say I don't want to watch it again.
I would not watch it again.
So here's the thing. I wouldn't want to watch it again, but I would put it above Grim Cuddy just because the actors did do a relatively good job.
Yeah, it's between a C or a D for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What's this next one?
You know what? This next one actually might be... I mean, it's between an S and an A for me.
Okay, what is Alive?
The Korean one, remember? The zombie one?
I loved this one.
So this is a good one.
So stressful.
From Korea. They made a remake in America. It looks like shit, but it's about this young man who wakes up and basically realizes that the zombie apocalypse is starting as he woke up, and so he's trying to figure out how to survive. Basically, he doesn't leave the apartment for a long time, but it's like he starts going crazy, because he's so alone. He's
in a precarious situation because he got lucky that he wasn't out on the street or somewhere while it was happening, but now he's trapped and he has no food.
Yeah.
He has nothing, pretty much.
But luckily, they seem to still have water and electricity. So for a while, he's just, sitting there playing games and shit, not even bothering, but he sees a
He's
lady.
not even thinking to like save water at some point.
Yeah.
And then he like after it gets cut off, he's like having to collect rainwater. And he's like,
Yeah.
probably like shit.
And
you know?
he sees that he sees that police lady get killed outside, and is like really upset because he wants to help her.
Yeah. And like you said, he's lonely.
Yeah.
That's probably his biggest thing, because I kind of feel like it was saying like he was an influencer or something.
Kinda, yeah, because he
Like
was on.
streamer?
Yeah, he was like streaming. He was
Yeah.
on like TikTok, Instagram, and stuff.
And so you could really see him missing having someone to talk to or just like respond
Yeah,
to him.
well, yeah, because he kept looking at his phone and was just like, oh my god.
Yes,
Like when his
yeah.
video game stopped, he was like, oh my
Yes.
god. And you can see because it starts being like weeks and weeks, and he just finally can't take it, and he's like, okay, like I'm about to end it finally. But then he doesn't see, but yeah, there's like a laser.
Basically, she intervenes.
Yeah,
'cause she sees him doing that.
his neighbor, a lady in the building across the street sees him and like points a laser pointer, and so he's like relieved that there's someone there. They start talking, and he is a drone, and so they're able to put a line from her balcony to his, and she has like hordes of food that she can send him, and then they're talking, they're having a good time, and so then the goal is like, okay, like you're one of us is gonna come down to the other's place, and we're gonna try to either survive there or leave.
Yes.
And so they do a good job, because like I can't remember which movie I was talking about where it felt like it was just the same shit over and over again, but it's nice that like there's the first time he's like, fuck this, he tries leaving the apartment, kind of looks around, does some stuff, but then it's like, oh fuck, leaves, and then basically doesn't leave ever again until he sees that girl is like about to get eaten by a zombie, and then so he fucking leaves his apartment, goes down the rope, goes up the rope, he gets a drone. I can't remember.
So there's like a zombie that gets into her apartment and she gets knocked out.
That's right.
And so he's able, I can't remember how he does it, but he like, his drone does something to wake her up, or I don't even know.
Well, no, he's just like, he's using his drone to fuck with the zombie climbing up the rope.
That's right, yeah.
And then it destroys the drone, but then she wakes up by then and
is able to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they both leave the building and are like, fuck this. Yeah. But then they find another survivor on the upper floor where they thought it was empty, and then this guy is like, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of food and shit, like you're welcome here. And then of course it turns out he's a fucking, that was definitely predictable that he's a fucking psycho. He's got his wife who's a zombie tied up, and he keeps, I guess, feeding strangers to her.
Here's what I'll say about that being predictable though. He was so sinister when they first walk in and meet him that I'm like, oh man, he's, but then he kind of has like a moment of like, okay, I'll drink it first. Like he I can't remember what he does, but he does something, and then I'm like, okay, maybe he's okay.
Yeah.
And it kind of like fakes you out a little bit, and then obviously he is bad. But...
Well, and he weirdly only wants to feed one of them to the zombie, because he tells the guy, he ties him up, but he's like, let her get eaten, and I'll literally let you go with any supplies that you want.
Yeah, because he just wants to keep his wife alive.
Yeah, and it's like, holy fuck. And then, that guy gets killed, and then real serious moment where, they're like, okay, well, we're fucked. There's nowhere else to go. So then they have a gun, and she's like, all right, well, kill me and then kill yourself. But then, I believe that's when they see the helicopter.
Yes, they hear the helicopter.
That's right, and then they run to the roof. And I had actually seen that clip on TikTok the very end, and so I was like, man, this looks familiar. But yeah, it's very good ending, very good story. I mean, tense,
it's
emotional,
heart-wrenching, because like when that guy was about to kill himself, obviously she saves him, but like you think, oh my god, she's so positive, she's so strong, but then it's kind of revealed that she was actually about to do that as well.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's so well done with a character you give a shit about. It's emotional.
He's not perfect.
Yeah.
He's like kind of
a goofball.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything was just well paced, done so correctly.
Yeah.
You're invested, you care. It's tense.
For a movie where maybe the first half, maybe less, he's not really interacting with zombies very much. Probably less than half, but it doesn't feel long. It just feels like, oh god, what is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You're just like,
and
anxiety.
Overall, like the zombie genre, you could say it's been kind of overplayed. So it was nice to see a zombie movie that's so refreshing and not fucking shitty. So
I'd say I think it was an A, to be honest with you.
Well, here's the thing. Honestly, it's tough because I would rather. Now that I'm looking at it, I would probably rather watch this than this.
You think?
Yeah. This was just such a good, like, overall, like, really I have no complaints about it because it was so good.
I would probably watch that again and again, but my only thing is I feel like it's not as creative as the Talk to Me was.
That's true. Creativity-wise, yes. So, I would say A. Okay, A is good. A is good.
And also, even though it was super good and I liked it, it didn't, like, my expectations weren't completely blown like the Talk to Me was. Like, I was like, I was thinking, this is going to be a grim cuddy. This is going to be a, you know.
I see,
and it was just, like, really good.
Yeah. So, here's The Empty Man. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
So, this is also an interesting one because I'd say it has some level of creativity, but the first, like, 30 fucking minutes of this movie is, like, it's a completely different... The first 30 minutes of the movie is a story to just, I guess, help you understand the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
Where it's about those college kids.
But you and me both said, like, that first 15 minutes it was, is the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Everything after that doesn't really meet up to that.
Yeah, it does not. Like, basically the movie, it's like there's a thing, person or whatever that exists that, like, transcends you as a human, I guess.
That part of it was kind of vague.
It was like, well, it went from, like, what felt like a monster ghost movie, maybe, like Supernatural, to, like, cult movie.
Yes.
And then it went to, like, real, like, you know, ooh, like, messing with your mind. Like, by the end, I'm like, what is this movie trying to be?
I agree.
Because the first 30 minutes, it's great. It's like the 90s. It's about college kids going to Nepal or whatever to be like, you know.
It was like The Descent.
Yeah, like, let's find ourselves. Yeah. And it's real spooky because one friend's like, I keep hearing this weird whistling noise.
And no one else can hear it.
Yeah, and then he falls into a cave and he's sitting, like, crisscross in front of this weird looking fucking thing.
That was one of the craziest parts of the movie. When you see that creature, you're like, I don't want this thing running after me or something. You see the skeleton of this weird fucking thing. It looks super cool. But you gotta put, like, a picture of it.
Yeah, I need to. But nothing ever comes of it. It's just
they, like, flash back to it at the end when he's like,
and like, you kind of see, like, it's like a shadow of the bones kind of lifting up, but that's it. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? What is this?
It made me kind of mad where I was like, if y'all want to make this movie, but let that creature be a different movie because that was too cool and it was not utilized.
Well, I was hoping the movie would be like The Ritual because I really like The Ritual, and it teases the monster throughout the movie, and at the end you see, you know, it's this god awful giant deer made out of body parts, and you're like, man, that's fucking. I think it's supposed to be Loki, but in The Empty Man, you see this cool ass design, and they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking for real? And then the whole thing is like, oh my god, you make a whistle sound on a bridge at night, and then the Empty Man comes, and you're like, okay.
I literally forgot it does that because that is such a weird, like, correlation to how he figures out about the cults.
Yeah. Well, and you're like, oh my god, like, you know, they keep, like, panning into the darkness, and you're like, oh my god, they're gonna show the Empty Man. Nothing.
Yeah, I know.
You see every time they'll do it, it's this long shot, and you're like
waiting for it. You're like, okay,
you gonna fucking show me the little skeleton or something? Like, fuck. And then, I mean, yeah, it's pretty gruesome when it's like, he's like, oh my god, my neighbor I fucked, her daughter is missing.
Yeah. Who
I'm kind of friends with. Man, where's she at? And then he, like, magically finds her friends, and they've all hung themselves, and you're like, oh. And yeah, so it becomes like what I thought was going to be like a really spooky, like, out of country monster movie.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a trying so hard to be edgy and different cult movie. Yeah. And then especially by the end, it's like, oh my god, You know, like they're trying to gaslight the main character where it's like, oh my god, like you're a figment of our imagination that we created into existence.
He's like calling up the woman he cheated with, and he's like, all right, come get me. And she's like, who are you?
Yeah, but I assume the question's supposed to kind of be like, are they telling the truth? Like, is he a creation they made? Or are they fucking with him to get him to become docile to their shit? And it's like, oh.
So the one thing other than the monster of this movie that makes me want this to be like I would say B tier versus a C or D tier is when he goes to the woods.
The camp. Yeah.
And kind of catches the cult. That was pretty spooky.
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't really like where it was like psychedelic at the end. But, like, the thought of all those people out in the woods
and they're like kids.
Chase him, like, that was very scary.
Yeah, that was good. I would probably put it at a C.
C.
I don't care to ever watch it again, but
I feel like it gets points taken away because it's just the storyline is so horrible.
Well, I feel like it just drags.
It did
I was just like, mind you, because you look at the description and it says, like, an ex-cop, blah, blah, blah. And then the movie starts and you're like, oh, I guess like this is a flashback maybe? But then it just keeps going. I'm telling you, the intro is like 25 minutes long. And I'm like, are we watching the right fucking movie?
Yeah. Didn't we exit and make sure we clicked the right
I was like, okay, no, it says empty, man. Oh, okay. So.
What do you think? C?
Yeah, I'd say C. That's just going to be C. Oh, God. Next movie.
I think this is shit tier.
Phantasm. I had never seen this movie before. I know there's like 9 of them or whatever. I've been told it was like a cult classic. Like, oh my god, you gotta watch Phantasm. And right from the get-go, of course it has like a sex scene with nudity because it's the 80s or whatever, 70s.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. I mean, I guess they're doing it to show that like the lady is not real and it's actually the morgue guy. But the movie is just so dumb.
Pointless.
It's not scary.
Yeah.
It feels so cheap and so stupid.
I'm just wondering, back in the day, was it like that main character, that evil guy? Was that guy just like terrifying?
I know, yeah.
That's what they leaned on the whole time. Like, this guy's so creepy looking. I was like, he looks like a normal dude.
Yeah, he just looks like a normal old man.
I mean, he's like tall, but I mean.
Well, and there's nothing like.
He doesn't even look that sinister to me, honestly.
No, and there's a flying orb that drills into people's foreheads. I have no idea what the fuck the purpose of that is.
Yeah.
And then it turns out he is like a master alien. He's got little Jawas.
Which were so stupid.
Yeah, that are...
Every time one of them showed up, I was like, I'm not scared, I'm annoyed.
He takes dead people, turns them into midgets, and then turns them into slaves on Mars, where he mines for resources, I guess.
Yeah.
None of it's scary. I was just like,
so
oh, okay, when are we getting to the scary part? Because... And then every character makes the stupidest decision where it's like... big brother and his little brother.
Yeah.
And every chance he can get, he's like, okay, little brother, bye.
He's like, you stay here where that guy's already broken in twice.
Yeah, I'm going. Goodbye. And then it's like, and it's almost like cartoonish.
It's cartoonish,
like
for sure.
To me, it's very like Looney Tunes, like.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, have him chase you out in the woods in this giant hole in the ground, and I'll throw a giant boulder over it. And it's just like, what? And then, yeah, it turns out he's not dead at the end, and he grabs the kid, and you're like...
It's so stupid.
Okay.
We were watching this, I was waiting for it to end. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, this was a hard one to sit through. It was just, honestly, pure dog shit. I don't know how anyone can like this movie. I don't know who the fuck is sitting here calling it a cult classic. I fucking hated it. It was truly a miserable time, and I wanted to end so bad. Like, worst, like, so far in our list, this was probably one of the worst movies where I was like, I just want this to end. Like, I wanted to literally stop it about halfway through, and I was like, can we just watch something else? Because this movie sucks, asshole.
And I'm just, you're right. Thinking back, it's like, this was the hardest movie to sit through.
Yeah.
Even Grim Cuddy, call it shitty, there were moments where you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and you're just like,
and
oh.
It's entertaining. It was like some stuff can be like bad, so bad it's good. This was not even that. It was like not even so bad that it's entertaining.
You know what? We'll put this one in its own thing. It's not even on the map. This one's just off the map. Fucking dog shit is what it is. So the next movie, The Nun.
The Nun.
So this movie is a part of the Conjuring universe, which is so weird to say, but the most corporate cookie cutter
For sure.
horror movie ever made. If you basically had ChatGPT or some kind of AI thing and you said, make me a horror movie that is the most like general audience for your, you
said like horror movie, add a nun in there.
Yeah, horror like, movie for middle-aged
religious
moms.
undertones.
Yeah, there you go. It had so many potential to be like really spooky.
Yeah.
Of course, jump scare. It's jump scare.
That's all it does.
And loud noise, and then fast forwarding door slam and shit like that. And the story is so generic where it's like, oh my, Valak, oh my god, like the nuns here pray every day to keep Valak at bay. Oh my god, and it's just.
I'm trying to think if there was a good scene. My favorite thing about this movie was the costume and wardrobe design.
Yeah,
I loved that. Some of the vibe of the lighting I really liked, but the script, everything was bad. Other than that, to me.
Well, and my biggest problem with horror movies is the priest goes outside and just gets magically buried under 6 feet of dirt.
Yeah.
In a coffin, and it's like the ground looks like it was never even touched, and I'm like, okay, if this motherfucker has this kind of power, how the fuck are these people even alive? Like
that is so
like,
true.
Like, oh, now you're telling me this ghost.
It's like an omnipotent.
Like
power.
God,
just
basically.
Like,
this fucking thing can like literally alter physical reality, and put you under the ground. So I'm like, well, why doesn't it just fucking just like
blast them?
Evaporate them. Like clearly, it's not defining what the powers are. And so when the ghost is doing stuff like that, it's like, well, what are the powers? Because 1 minute it's like the ghost just stares at you and does nothing, and 1 minute it can bury a human being underground, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they keep half-ass showing Ed and Lorraine Warren, like, oh my god, remember The Conjuring?
So I don't think I'd watch it again. However, and it was kind of slow, but it's like that. There's something about that kind of cheesy cookie cutter horror movie that's not like shit tier.
Yeah, you could almost say it's like not comfort, because I really don't think I could sit through this again, but
no,
it's definitely like this would have been. Maybe not now, but definitely when I was in high school.
15.
Yeah, I would be going to the movie theater with my friends watching the.
That's exactly the vibe I'm talking about. Where you're like, oh, I'm so excited! It's Friday night. It gave me that vibe. Yes. That's why I can't say it's shit tier. But it's probably a D or a C.
I'd probably put it here as a D. The People Under the Stairs. That was an interesting one because it was actually more of a comedy than a horror movie.
Not a horror movie, like a.
So this is interesting because
grotesque, but not horror.
When you look up horror movies on Google, this movie will keep coming up. The People Under the Stairs, and it's a '90s movie. From the description, you're like, oh man, like that sounds sinister and spooky, but it's almost like a Evil Dead movie where it's this strange, like, taken so literal yet it's supposed to be funny. Like, it's not like characters, being like, oh my god, like sitting there making a joke.
Yeah.
It's like, it turns out that the landlords who own this neighborhood, it's white landlords who own a lot of land in a prominent black neighborhood. They're basically trying to get all the people out because they're assholes. But it turns out that they are cannibals who like abduct people and eat them and also keep them in their basement. And so the main character
those two things were kind of not related.
It really wasn't.
Like, they could have had these just be two random other people.
Yeah.
But they had to do the whole, like, no, that's the landlord.
Yeah.
They had to do a weird connection there. It's
and
like.
the main character, which is interesting, is like a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, he was really cute.
Yeah,
He did a good job.
Yeah, they did a good job because at first it's him and Ving Rhames, and
Holy, that's right. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, oh shit, okay, so it's like an adult and a kid, and then homie gets killed, and then they do a good job of like, oh, okay, I see, like the kid, since he's so little, can fit through the vents and stuff like that. You're like, cool. But when they introduce the landlords more, it's like so comical, where he's in a gimp suit.
Oh my god, yeah, it was so freaky.
One of the people under the stairs is like a kid, and he's like loose in the house. So then the guy puts on a gimp suit and is like screaming weird shit while shooting his own house. And mind you, they live in like a neighborhood, like it looks like a suburb of LA.
Yeah.
And he's shooting a shotgun in his house, and then they act like none of the neighbors can hear.
I know, right? It makes no sense.
And like him and his, it's like, it turns out it's like incest, so it's like their brother and sister or something, and they have a weird relationship, and they have like a girl they kidnapped to be their kid, and
there was like a couple of weird things where like the dad or the landlord / dad, quote unquote dad, was like acting weird towards the little girl.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It freaked me out, and I didn't like
definitely
that.
Gave you kind of like, you know, that vibes, but it was never really scary. Obviously, you're like, you know, oh my god, like don't get caught. But
there was some gore.
Yeah,
but
it just kept being so like goofy.
It was very goofy.
Where I was like, okay.
It almost felt like if you take away the connotation of a gimp suit being sexual and some of the like horror, like the gore, and then like the weird stuff with the daughter, it was almost like a horror movie for kids.
Yeah, almost like Goosebumps.
It was like a Goosebumps type thing. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it felt very. It's like Goosebumps for adults. I could definitely see myself rewatching it again, but I don't know why it's like top 100 horror movies.
It should not be
people
in a horror
it's like no, it's not. I mean, that's almost why I'd give it a point off for that, because it's not really a horror movie.
It was good though.
True, I did like the resolution, like the kid lived and the girl who was trapped got to be free and stuff like that. I'm leaning.
I'm gonna let you pick because I cannot decide.
I'm leaning
B.
I'll do B.
Yeah.
I'll do B. It wasn't. Yeah. So this one, Under the Shadow, it's the one that takes place in Iraq. So this is an interesting one, but like we were saying, so this movie is about the jinn, which, if you know like Arabic, Middle Eastern lore, the jinn, the jinni, is like the folklore monster. So it takes place.
Isn't it in a bunch of other cultures too, or is it just?
I think it's. I mean, it definitely is from like the Middle East. Like that's, because this movie, I mean, takes place in Iraq, and
I can Google that because I can't remember which one it was.
It either takes place in Iraq or Iran, but it's during like the 8-year war or whatever, the 7-year war, which was a real thing, which plays into the movie. But you look at it as like, if the movie did not have this setting, you wouldn't have a movie, because the whole movie is like a mom.
So it's okay during the Iran-Iraq war. I think she's in Iran.
Okay. But yeah.
She's in Tehran.
Tehran?
Yeah.
Okay. Real life event. Her husband basically gets conscripted, and so her and her daughter are there, and he's like, please, like, we're getting bombed all the time. Can you go with my parents? Like, I know they don't really like you, but like, better than being fucking drone striked or whatever. She decides to stay, so do a few neighbors. But eventually all the neighbors leave except her because she's so stubborn. But a missile strikes the roof, and at first it's like the neighbor upstairs is screaming and her dad dies, and they're all like, oh, he just died from the from the shock of the missile. But then the daughter was like, no, he was screaming for help because he said that someone was like coming after him. And so you're like, oh, and
the daughter is like seeing stuff.
Yeah, the daughter
She's
is like being friends with the djinn.
Yeah.
But then, the mom...
Oh, and I forgot there's a little boy who's actually the first one.
That's right, yeah. Who they were like, oh, that motherfucker brought it here.
Yeah.
And, the whole thing with the djinn is like, as long as it holds on to something you value the most precious in your life, it basically will like take hold of you. So
yeah.
The daughter, her most prized possession is her doll. And the mom, her most prized possession is her study books, because she's trying to be a doctor, but since she was part of like a revolution movement, she can't get hired anywhere.
She's like
go to school. Yeah. And so it's like my biggest problem with this movie, because it was cool. I like the idea of the djinn, and it's genuinely spooky when like she wakes up and there's just like an old man standing at her doorway. She chases him, and there's like a crack in the ceiling. He like is climbing back up into it, and the crack like seals.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's creepy.
It does look very creepy.
The whole movie is just like, for a while, it's just the daughter's like, this, and the mom's like, I don't fucking believe you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my god, I see a djinn. Next day, oh my god, I see a djinn. Next day.
The crazy thing about this movie is like when she's experiencing all these horrific like djinn stuff happening, it's almost like not as important as how horrible her surroundings are.
Yeah.
All of her anxiety and all of like the stress with the war happening, you're like, this is kind of scarier than what's happening. So
and
if you were her, you could understand being like, okay, whatever.
But it's also so hard. Like, it's like, okay, like you don't like your husband's family. It's like, so it's like you're telling me you'd rather stay in a building where everyone else is left, might get missile strike because the first missile didn't go off.
Yeah.
You'd rather stay there with your daughter than go deal with your in-laws. Like, come on, are you that stupid? Mm-hmm. And she has a car, can drive, gets so scared, and then just runs out of the fucking building with her.
That part made no sense.
With her daughter, and then she gets caught by the religious police, and they basically threaten her that because she left the house without covering herself, and then so she goes back and deals with the djinn again, and finally is like, I mean, at the very end, gets in the car and fucking leaves, and I'm like, you've had that car since the beginning. The djinn has not like stopped your car you could have ended this forever ago.
Yeah.
But
that movie feels so symbolic though. Like even the moments where like the dad is leaving and they're both hugging him, and how stubborn she is, and her like inability to let stuff go, and then it's like really the hardest thing for her was to let it go and leave.
Yeah.
And so it's like so weird to watch it take place.
Now it was also good because the whole like the djinn makes you like turn on yourself and other people. So when she's running out with her daughter, they do a good job with the camera where you can't really see the daughter's face.
Yeah.
But then she hears her daughter screaming in the room.
Yeah.
And so she automatically thinks that
she's been tricked.
Yeah, she's been tricked. So she like punches her daughter in the face, runs back in, realizes she's being tricked, and then her real daughter
just punched in the face.
Yeah. Is like almost being taken as well, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And at the end, they do a little thing where the mom, her book is still in the apartment building, and a piece of the daughter's doll is also still in the apartment building, and so basically it's like
ambiguous. Yeah, like can the djinn keep?
Yeah, the djinn will now follow them, and it might now affect a whole new group of people.
Yes.
So it was like,
it was super good.
It was creepy, but I was just, I mean, because they had good moments where you're like, blink and you'll miss it, but it's like, ooh.
Yeah, because I did a couple times. We had to rewind it.
But it felt like it just kept doing the same shit over and over again. I was like, fucking leave.
Yeah. That part of the logic didn't make sense a lot of times.
It didn't.
And like the moment, like you said, when she gets caught by the religious police, all I was thinking was like, okay, this is like symbolism because this makes no sense logically.
Yeah.
So it's like, is this symbolism for her feeling like her stubbornness is like warranted? Like this, I need to just stay here and suck it up, or whatever.
It was it's just, I could see myself watching it again. It was, I don't know.
I mean, I really liked it, and I was surprised at how good it was. because I'd never heard anyone talk about it.
Yeah.
But my only problem with it is, if you take out the war part of it, it's a kind of a boring ghost movie kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it really wouldn't happen.
That's true.
Yeah. Because it was the whole thing was like the jinn follows misery.
Yeah.
And so it's just like.
But if you take out all the scenes that are like causing stress because it's a war, and you just have the ghost scenes, you're like, okay, this is just kind of like a middle of the road ghost movie.
Yes. I'm conflicted between A and B.
Yeah, me too. The acting was super good.
Yes, acting was very good.
The main character actress, she did amazing, and the
Yeah.
daughter actually did great as well.
Let's just put it in A. I'll take it as A. Saw X.
Oh yeah.
So this was a very new one.
We literally saw it in theaters.
Yeah, we watched it in theaters. The Saw movies, they're fun. They're fun to watch, like so goofy. But this one was interesting because it takes place between like Saw 2 and 3, I think. And it's the first movie to actually focus on Jigsaw as a character.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because review-wise, this is like the best reviewed Saw movie of all of them.
Is it really?
Which I'm a little confused on, but
because it's not the best Saw movie.
No, it wasn't bad, but the kind of disgusting thing about this movie is they're trying to make Jigsaw like a hero, like a
they totally did that.
They want you to sympathize with Jigsaw, where you're like, you know what?
He's a victim.
Yeah, he's a victim. Like, killing is distasteful. Like, he's a good guy. You know why? Because there's a rich fucking bitch lady who's taking advantage of sick people, and he's gonna teach her a lesson. And it's like,
Jigsaw literally said, "I'm a victim. These drug addicts deserve what's coming."
Yeah, and then at the end, like how he's like, I didn't predict that this my friend boy here, who I helped build his bicycle, I didn't know he'd be here at 1 a.m.
I know.
And then he's like, of course it's like the one fucking of all the Spanish words Jigsaw could have learned. He was like, what do I say when I wanna pull this wheel back? And then the kid's like, hola, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's a very neat word. And then at the end, when he somehow guessed that they would trick him and he would be in the trap with that little boy, I guess.
It's like he planned that.
He's like, don't holla, or whatever. And the kid's like,
yeah, okay.
I'm like, really?
I know.
Like, come on, man.
Well, but then we also talked about how in this Saw movie, unlike some of the others, they get time frames that are not reasonable at all.
So we recently watched Saw 5, and in the traps, these motherfuckers are getting like 20 fucking minutes.
I know.
To do like the simplest.
You get time to freak out and then figure out what you're even supposed to do.
Yeah, talk to each other. Be like, tell me about your life.
Yeah, true.
In
Let
this
me get
movie,
your backstory.
In this movie, this motherfucker gives everyone 3 minutes, and he's like, okay, do brain surgery on yourself by looking at a TV, going like this, open your skull, and take out enough brain.
Which sounds like a joke, but that's literally what happened.
And then, the first lady, he's like, you have to cut your whole leg off, and then
put it in something, and then my device will turn it into something, right?
No, it's cut your leg off enough that you can inject this tube into your bone marrow, and your bone marrow. But the tube from the fucking leg to the machine is like a mile away, and it's so slow. So it's like,
even if she had done it instantly, she wouldn't have had time.
And then she would have made it if she had literally had 2 more seconds. So it's like Jigsaw. If you gave her 20 minutes like you fucking gave everyone else, she would have won.
She would have been fine.
And then you just cut to the clip from Saw 5 where he's like, killing is distasteful.
I know.
I don't kill anybody. Everyone has a fair chance. It's like, you strapped them down to the fucking chair, you dumbass.
The guy he made do brain surgery on himself and then gave him like 2 minutes.
I know.
That was pretty wild.
God. And then there was
But he also did a good job. Like, he almost lived. It was like, bro.
Yeah, and then there was the drug addict girl where her trap was like she'll be irradiated to death unless she smashes her ankle and foot, which is a little bit of like the less crazy one. But it was also like Jigsaw. Like, how do you think someone's good? Like, you think someone's gonna have the strength to break their bones while they're being irradiated to death? Like,
he's like, everyone gets a fair shot.
Yeah, and he's like, Amanda, shut the fuck up. Like, I gave you the same chance too. And it's like, bro,
wasn't hers like climbing out of a thing of needles though, or something?
No, her first one was she had the reverse bear trap and had to cut her boyfriend's stomach open to get the key.
I'd rather do that than be irradiated and break all my ankles.
But then, after she went through that trap, she went even worse and like tried to kill herself.
And she had to be in the other movie.
Yeah, and that's when it's like, Jigsaw, like, what the fuck are you?
I know.
Like, it was.
One thing I did love about this movie though was how evil they made that lady.
I know.
They made her like crazy.
Comically evil.
She was literally ready to like kill the kid for no reason.
Yeah, she's like, and it's so comically bad guy, and it just felt kind of weird to be like, Jigsaw's the
victim.
And, you know, in the very end, it's like him walking in the sunlight with that boy, and he's like, hope or whatever, and I'm like,
I know. And it's so funny that you think like this is a prequel for whatever. It's like in between two movies. If Jigsaw had just died, so many people would have been spared.
I know. And it's just like, I'm like, why are you nice to this fucking kid? Remember the detective's kid that you locked in a safe for like 2 days?
That's true.
Like,
point.
Or even in Saw 3, the dad who has to go through the test because it was like his kid got killed. His name is Jeff. And he, you know, the people in the traps were like people who wronged him on like his kid's case.
Yeah.
At the very end, Jigsaw kidnapped his other kid and locked her away somewhere, and was like, "If you fail, your daughter will die here."
I know, an innocent
what the
little
fuck?
girl.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't give a fuck then. But then when we watched Saw 5, they magically like Hoffman. I mean, I guess because Hoffman is the new Jigsaw, but he's walking out with the little girl, where they're just like, "Oh yeah, she's fine."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I remember that.
You don't give a fuck about kids. You were ready to sacrifice that girl. Like, it's just, would I watch again? Obviously, yes. It's just so funny where I'm like, this is kind of weird to be like mass murderer, make him like a sympathetic
old man.
Yeah.
With cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It was very, obviously I love the stinger at the end where it shows Detective Hoffman again. That was great. I love that. That was about it.
So what do you think? I'm feeling like A or B.
Yeah, I was gonna say B. B, just because it's, I don't like the making him a sympathetic hero. It was kind of gross. Next movie, Cam.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting one because I don't understand why it has that many good reviews. I thought it was alright, but people are acting like, you know, like, oh, it really talks about, like, you know, this, like, sex workers and blah, blah, blah. I was like, It's an interesting movie about identity.
Yes.
And like losing your identity in something is what I took from it. Like, she's so consumed with wanting to be a cam model that it's like it takes this weird thing happening for her to look back and be like, oh my god, like, I'm like, what have I become?
But the weird thing at the end that deters even from that lesson is she goes back to doing it, but with a different name. And so it's like, she's like, I'm gonna separate it. I'm like, but I feel like in the beginning it was still separate. You were just wanting the attention, so you're still getting that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because like it turns out it's like a sentient AI starts copying like cam girls and basically like can become them. And so
But it was also killing them somehow, right? Wasn't that the whole thing?
Well, I think the people were killing themselves because it was ruining their lives.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember that part.
I can't fully remember.
Because remember at one point, it was like filming the inside of her house. Remember?
Yeah, I can't remember how it does that. Because obviously they do like, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I just know. But it's
I don't even remember.
it's like her life starts going to shit because, you know, her whole family finds out what she's doing and they're like, oh my god. But then her mom is like, I support it. You know, it's not too bad. But I'm like, what's the lesson to be learned? Because like you said, at the very end, she's like, okay, I'm going to go back on OnlyFans and still do like nudie streams. But now I have a different alter ego and name.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be something else. And I'm like, but you're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it didn't seem like a lesson was learned.
I kind of, when I was first watching the beginning of it, I thought the lesson was going to be at the end because she really likes the horror stuff. When she was doing her camp stuff, she was like pretending to like kill herself. You know, she was doing like horror stuff. So I thought the end it was going to be like, I'm doing horror makeup on YouTube. I can still do a creative outlet because she didn't want to undress, but she started doing it to compete with that other girl. Remember? Because she was like, I got to get my subs up.
But that was the whole thing. She never did. The AI did.
Well, no, remember she did it right before the AI. Because she was like, I gotta be in the top whatever. And then she does the thing on that machine that they were making fun of. And so basically, she gave up part of her own, like...
That's right, morals and stuff.
Yeah, well, not even, I guess morals probably, but like, she had boundaries she didn't want to cross, but she did it just because she wanted those extra...
Well, she's not even being herself.
Exactly.
She's becoming whatever people on the internet want her to be.
Yes. Kind of turning away from
so I
what she actually likes.
Maybe at the end it was stating like, no, she's now who she wants to be, not what other people want her to be. But it was just, to me, done so poorly where I'm like, what the fuck? Is this like a pro cam girl message thing? Or is this saying like, don't do, like, what the fuck are you trying to say?
Yeah.
I
But it was like so anti what she was doing. It was like the message was so anti, and then when she was doing it again, it was kind of like, okay, so what is... Yeah, I agree. What is the message here?
Yeah.
What was the actual story? But I wouldn't watch it again. I thought the premise was unique, but
it was definitely creative. But I'm leaning here, like between.
C.
Like
I think C.
Like meh. Like VHS 94.
Okay, so this is the one that has the... This has that guy who turns the girl into a robot.
Okay.
So this is my favorite one out of all the VHSs we've watched.
Okay, yeah, this one was a good one.
I'm trying to think what the other ones are.
Yeah, maybe we need to...
Okay, it's the one where they're in the cave, I believe. Yeah, okay, it's the reporter in that thing.
Oh, the Ratma. Okay. That one was pretty good. Classic, like, reporter story where, they're like, oh, the sewer people. And it's just like, what the fuck?
The other one... Oh, wait, that's 85. Never mind. Okay, 94. I just remembered this one being my favorite one because of the robot one, because that robot one was
the body horror robot one was really good. Mad scientist basically is kidnapping people, turning them into like cyborgs, so you get like a POV of one of the victims. Really good, well done, fucking gory, like just spooky. I can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to... It's like
I hate that. We watched so many, and each one has like 5. I'm like, I'm remembering pieces of each one.
Okay, wait. Okay, this is the one with the SWAT team framing device.
Okay.
I didn't like the SWAT team part.
Okay, so the overall story of 94 is very meh. About a SWAT team trying to find like a cult or whatever.
Okay, it's saying... Okay, is this 94?
Yeah.
So it's saying the other 94 one is the one with the country dudes who it looked like they had a militia.
The militia guys with the vampire?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that wasn't the bad...
I thought that was in the other one, the 99, but it's saying, okay, the robot one, that militia one, and then the Ratma one.
Yeah.
It's called Storm Drain.
Yeah. Was it 3? I thought it was 5.
It's saying these are the 3.
Huh. Yeah, there's a really funny anti-government militia that have a vampire, and they're basically trying to like blow up a government building by using a vampire in sunlight to blow up. And it's just so weird because it's kind of like just bullshit filler till the very end, sadly. The vampire design is pretty cool, but you can tell blatantly that it's just like a rubber mask, sadly. I'd probably put it in B.
Yeah, I think A or B for this one.
Yeah. B.
What's next?
Here, you know what? Here, let's do these
Okay, yeah.
together. So, VHS 99.
So 99 is the one. It has those dudes who go to hell.
I like that one.
That one was really good.
I like that one.
It has the damn one where it's like the
TV
kid
show?
game show.
That one was kind of good, but way too fucking long.
Way too long. And then it has the kids who are rockers and go into like...
I hated that one.
I hated that one too.
Yeah.
And then it has the one where the kids are spying on their neighbor, that girl.
Oh.
That one was so stupid.
So the only good one from this one to me is that there's these two guys who are like hired to document like a witch summoning.
Oh, and it's also the one where the girl gets buried.
That one was okay.
That one was okay.
Yeah, the best one is these two guys who like document like a witch like summoning or demon summoning. When these cult people try summoning the demon, they accidentally open a gate to hell, and these two guys get sucked in and are in hell trying to get out. And it's pretty well done. I liked it. It was very creepy. Awesome.
But it was also funny as hell. Like it was like something you'd watch.
Yeah, because it's just like two dude.
It's
It's like two dude bros like getting like feisty with each other.
I
They're
know.
like, fuck you. Yeah, and that was And then there's one where it's, you know, like these creepy teenagers are spying on their neighbor and being all creepy. It's just so.
And she turns out to be Medusa. It's like the stupidest thing.
Oh, it's actually that's the main story throughout the. That's what it is.
That's right.
Yeah. It's.
Sucky.
It's honestly.
I'd watch it again for the hell one. That was like kind of funny.
True. We'll put it here. We'll put it on C.
Okay, now 85 was the one with the people who die, but they come back to life.
Oh, I like that one.
In the cult kind of like connection.
That's right. I like that one.
And then it's also it's the murderer one, which I really liked, but it was like the son could tell the future. And then he found out at the end that his dad was the one murdering people.
Oh, that's right.
He was like mailing in videotapes.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
I can't remember. So he was like psychic, but his psychic dreams were being recorded on film, and he was sending in weeks before the crime would happen.
Yes. That was a good one.
I really liked that one. And then this one I freaking hated. It seemed like an art piece that was like really weird. The lady who like gets killed. She's like on stage. It's this one.
Oh, I hated that one.
That one was like so
It's like
long.
it's like VR having sentience. Yeah, I fucking hated that.
Oh, I think this is the one with the This one also had the they're in Mexico, and it's like they're filming I think it's like a talk show or a news show, and then like an earthquake happens.
Oh, that's right.
That one was good.
That one was pretty spooky.
And I also think this is the one with the funeral director. That may have actually been the 94 one.
Funeral director?
Well, so she's at the funeral house.
Oh, that one.
That was my favorite one. That may have actually been the 94 one.
Was it?
I'm not seeing it on here.
Oh man, yeah, that one was great.
That one I was like legitimately scared.
Basically classic funeral home. This girl has to watch over a wake, but no one shows up during a potential thunderstorm / tornado warning. Like lights go out, the casket.
One guy shows up, but he's shady as hell.
Yeah, and starts chanting something, and then leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then oh god, so good, so good. Yeah, with 88, yeah, no, this one has a really good one where I wish it was a full movie where it's they go swimming in the lake and then start getting murdered, but then they all wake up and are like, how the fuck are we still alive?
Yeah.
And it doesn't explain it, but there is something in the water.
They piece it together because everyone who died not on the water is still dead.
Yeah, it still dies, but so and then their goal is to figure out who killed them, and then a secondary story starts about these culty people who like basically just
that you don't realize is connected.
Yeah, their rite of passage is to like kill a bunch of people, and then you see on the footage that they show, it's the footage from the very beginning of the movie where they're killing the people on the lake, and you're like, oh fuck, you know. And so what had happened is, because like in the beginning of that one, the cult people, this little kid has a water gun and sprays the main character of this story with it. She's like, oh, you know, where the fuck did you get that water gun? And he's like, these people in that RV over there gave it to me. And you see the RV driving off, and it's the RV from the people from the beginning, because they finally found who shot and killed them. And so then they call the police to do a raid on the cult house, which kills everyone. But then that girl keeps coming back, and she keeps trying to kill herself and stuff, and just keeps coming back, and it's just so good.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 85, I would say definitely probably is a...
Okay, so you liked that one more than 94?
I don't know, maybe...
I think it's on the same level as 94.
Okay, then I'll do B. These, they were very enjoyable. This one was not.
I think next is Pyramid.
Yes,
right?
The Pyramid. Interesting movie, because another movie that basically feels like it's straight to DVD, but quality-wise wasn't too bad. There was one CGI scene, and even Anubis was like, it looked kind of weird, but basically you're, you know, oh, we're scientists and we're going in a cave and
we have to get the artifacts.
Yeah, discovery of the century. Oh my god! And then, of course, you know, they do an annoying ass thing. I think it was this movie where there's a guy with a camera.
Yeah.
And they'll go to his view, but then it just goes to like normal movie view.
Oh yeah, it's so annoying.
And they kept switching. I'm like, okay. It's okay. It's very predictable, and everyone has to just be as stupid as possible.
Yes.
You figure out that the main bad guy is Anubis, which I was able to figure out the moment they show, because there's these little monsters that you see, and I was like, are they giant rats or something? And then when I saw it, and I was like, oh, they're cats. Yeah. I was like, okay, well,
like mummy cats.
Egypt, cats, Anubis.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me guess, we're gonna see Anubis.
I'm trying to think if there's any standout things about this movie. Well, there's like a spooky part where like we hadn't seen Anubis, and I don't know if it was even Anubis, maybe it just been a mummy or something, and it was like chasing them. Wasn't that happening? Remember, because it grabbed that military guy?
That was Anubis.
That was Anubis?
The whole point is that they're being chased by him.
Okay. Did it even show him though? Or was it just
you see like his arms like grab him, and it was like horrible CGI where you're like, yeah, okay. I don't know. It's just so like, and oh my god, they do the dumbest shit where it's like, she's escaping. Oh my god, like it's like the most dragged on scene where it's like she's climbing up the ladder to escape. Oh my gosh, she gets dragged down. She's climbing back up again. Oh my gosh, she made it out. And Anubis. Yeah. You know, she's at the entrance of the cave. She's like, and then a little kid comes in and he's like, hello. And then Anubis pops up and it freeze frames like, I was like, how fucking stupid. Yeah. So dumb.
You know, I hate to admit I would watch this again, but just because like, if you wanted something like the Mummy vibe but scary, that'd be what you'd want to watch.
I would rewatch it probably with friends or family.
Yeah,
like,
kind of joke on it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't be a bad like, ha family, let's
Oops
sit down.
Gas,
let's sit down, watch it.
I think it might be like a B or a C.
Yeah,
it's kind of middle of the road, so maybe a C.
I'm leaning more towards C.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever. Oh, here we go.
What is this?
This might be almost down there with Phantasm. He's watching.
Oh, okay. You need to put Phantasm back at F and have this one be by itself.
True, you're right. Okay, you're safe for now, everybody.
The sanctity of the shit tier.
God. Okay, so context. The guy who made this movie made this, because you watch this movie and you're like, did some random motherfucker just make this in his house? It's some rich asshole who lives in like the suburbs of fucking Beverly Hills.
That? What if he like Google
I don't give
He's
a
gonna
fuck.
comment below if you made this movie.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, if you're watching, like, seriously, dude, like, stroke your own fucking ego enough. Jesus Christ. It's like...
No, it's like a promo for his wife's music.
Yeah.
His wife's music starts playing.
Yeah, well, where, I mean, if
it
you...
shows
like,
his Grammys and
yeah,
stuff.
it's like, dude, God, like, how fucking big is your ego where you have to plug in your own shit in a fake fucking movie? I saw the cover, so I'm like, oh, this is gonna be spooky as fuck. Though, it was... Apparently it was made during COVID. It's some fucker and his wife and his kids.
And their neighbors.
And their neighbors made this movie. It's so fucking god-awful and stupid. I don't even know how it has, like, all these good reviews. It's basically, there's, like, a worldwide pandemic. That's killing everyone but children. And so these two kids are alone at their fucking multi-million-dollar house in Beverly Hills. And they're worried because they haven't heard back from their parents. And they start seeing videotapes of, like, themselves that they didn't take.
Which could have been well done.
Yeah, it could have been well done, but
yeah.
there's so many stupid-ass wannabe artsy shots.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, fade to black. Ooh, spooky clown hand playing the piano. Oh my god.
They would not stop fading to black.
Yeah.
It was driving me crazy.
Fading to black every 5 fucking minutes on Microsoft PowerPoint. And then it's like, ooh, the guy with the weird eye hole bag and fucking scarf and fedora.
You hit the nail on the head though when we were watching it, and you said like he looks like a hipster, and
yeah.
it ruined it because the bad guy's wearing like a weird scarf.
Yeah, he looks like a wannabe.
He's like a wimp.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like someone was like, I love Doctor Who, but I want to be scary.
Yeah.
And so they dressed up as Tom Baker's Doctor Who, and then put on a stupid fucking mask.
Yeah.
And it's just the horrible chill child actors, and like I kept having throughout the movie, I'm like, okay, this is like low budget as fuck. And then you start going, hold on, this is your fucking house. You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
How do you end up making a movie this shitty? And like there's a moment where it cuts to some kind of effect, not even effect, like, you know, the daughter's like having some kind of episode, and it's like it's supposed to be spooky, but it's shitty like purple light. She has red face paint on, and she's like, and I'm like, really?
No, my favorite part is when they're trying to piece together what's happening.
Yes.
And the little kid, how old is he?
Maybe 8.
And nothing against the kids because they're adorable. Their parents gave them the worst script ever.
Motherfucker, learn how to write a fucking script for your...
He told his son to say the stupidest shit.
Yeah. Please don't have your 9-year-old son say the stupidest shit. I mean, I get that you're trying to do exposition, but to have like a 7-minute scene where this kid, like, they're trying to piece together like why it's happening to them. They lay out just a bunch of random shit that they find, and this little boy is like, sis, I think the meaning of this fucking pocket watch is that one time when Dad was 19 and he blah 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 and looked at his watch. I think that's it. She's like, you're right, maybe. And he's like, sis, I think the apple means like a new day because Dad would eat apples in the morning.
Yeah,
I was like, shut the fuck up.
So hard to sit through. I'm trying to think if this was harder to sit through than Phantasm. That's what is actually what's on my mind right now because
this was another movie where I was like, I want to turn this fucking movie off.
Yeah, I actually think it was harder to sit through Phantasm.
To
give it some respect, there were moments where I thought they were going to be able to figure out how to make it scary.
It was just so like. I'm annoyed by these rich fucking people who are like, look at me make an indie horror movie in my fucking mansion. Oh, my kid stumbled into my room. Oh, don't worry about my Oscar nominee right there. Oh, whoopsie. Oh, my wife's CD's playing in the background. You can buy it on Amazon. It's like, it just feels so sick and so out of touch and disingenuous. It's just fucking dog shit movie.
Yeah.
I would not recommend it for anybody. Do not watch.
I'm glad we didn't have to pay to watch it because I
Oh,
would have been pissed.
I know. Yeah, these two can just fucking sit together down here. What is this? The Hollow? The Hallow? Hallow.
Yeah.
The Hallow.
Not bad. You know,
Not a bad movie. Irish folklore.
Yeah. The monsters look good.
Yeah, monsters look good. They did an interesting thing, which I feel like I've seen in other movies. I just can't name them right now, where it's like, yes, the dad goes crazy, but it's because he's infected. But then he's like infected, but still conscious enough to like save his family.
Yes, yeah.
And it was definitely a good like in a house survival movie. Like, oh my god, there's these monsters. How do we survive? They don't like sunlight. They don't like iron.
Yeah, figuring that out.
Very quick. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Like main night. They do, a good job. Like kind of like Under the Shadow, where it's a fake out where, she's like, no, that's my baby, and she's running with it. But then the dad finds the real baby.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the real baby.
And then it's like, should I trust him? Because he already looks like he's completely infected.
Yeah. And so she's like, okay, I believe you. Takes the baby. And then they do a fake out where you see the baby she left because the sunlight's hitting it. And you're like, oh, fuck, he's not.
Yeah, she got the wrong one.
Yeah, but then it just takes a second, and then you see the baby, like, horrifically melt, which is, like, it's a monster, but, man, they kind of make it, like, the baby is, like, baby screaming, while it's, like...
that part really bothered me, because it literally looked like a little infant on the ground.
Yeah, like, rotting.
Like, this is not, like, turning into a monster and
No,
dying.
it just looked like a baby dying.
Yeah, I was like, maybe you should just take that one, too.
I was like, damn, dude, like, that's a little intense, but... then they do a stinger at the end where it's like, oh my god, like, the evil in the woods is, like, the goo is, because, like, black goo, it's
stuck in the trees and getting transported.
somewhere else.
I did kind of like that. But.
Yes, it was a very, this is, to me, another, like the Pyramid, like, I'd rewatch it with family or friends or something, like, hey, let's just turn something.
It was kind of middle of the road type of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really not, I mean, acting was good, nothing.
Stand out about it.
Yeah, just... standard.
I can't even think of anything else to say. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just very standard, very whatever. What the fuck? Hell House LLC 2.
I will say pleasantly surprised because I had no expectations for
That's
this
true.
one. So was it good? No. But was it better than I thought? Yes.
Yeah, it had some decent scares, but the most annoying part is how they're like, oh my god, guy who's the survivor from the first movie, go back into this house and show us how to get to the basement. And he's like, okay. And then when they get lost in the house, he's like, I should have never agreed to this. It's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, you've already been through this. You know it.
Yeah.
It's just so... and it was sad because I remember the first movie, and they did a lot of the same scares from the first movie. That's why I was like, I don't know. I mean, decent. I don't know if I'd put it as a B. It's probably a C. Like,
yeah, I don't think it quite makes it to.
We're getting a lot of C tier movies, and
I think that's probably what we should expect.
Yeah, well, and it's going so quick now because there's just nothing to say about these.
I hate that we saw so many good movies at the beginning, and it kind of like at the end it wasn't as.
So Prom Night, this also like the Nun.
And there's 2 Prom Nights.
Yeah, this is the remake. Yeah, this is the 2008 or 9 remake. Just so generic, like, and stupidest thing you can do in a movie. Show us everything the killer's doing, so there's no suspense.
Absolutely no suspense.
This movie literally shows you the character side and the killer side at all times.
Yeah.
So there's no surprises and there's no suspense, but they keep acting like it's a surprise when something happens, and it's like, no, it's not a surprise because we already know.
We saw him do it.
Yeah, we saw him do it. So when the girl's like, "Oh my god, my friends are dead," it's like, I already knew that. And then when they're like, "Oh my god, I think the guy's missing, and he might kill that cop in front of the house." Like, well, duh. Like, I already like. it was just so, and the kills are, I mean, 90% of the kills is some dumbass walks back into the hotel room, which, by pure luck, apparently everyone on prom wants to go back to their fucking hotel room before the dance even starts.
Yeah.
And then it's just him. It's not even interesting kills. He just comes out of the closet, stabs him, and then...
A lot of times he doesn't even show the kills. It's like they get dragged.
Oh, yeah. It's
like
PG-13, so there's basically no blood, and it doesn't show the kills.
Yeah. And it's not that suspenseful even when you know he's about to kill someone, because he kind of just does it really quickly.
Yeah, he just strangles them, and they're dead.
He doesn't, like, mess with them and make them, like, think, like, oh, you're good. And then he grabs them. He's just, like, as soon as they, like, sit down, he kills them.
Yeah, it's just... Oh. I know. God. The cats have dropped a stinker. We might have to shut the door. I don't know. That's pretty bad. But, just such a... You know, because, like, I feel like early 2000s movies are a vibe, and it's just sad that I've never seen a movie just be this blatant. Like, let me just show you everything the killer's doing so that there's zero suspense. Like...
They even had at the beginning where we could have not seen what he looked like. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't even, like, introduce how he looked. You just knew that he had killed the main character's family.
They could have made it where you're like, oh my god, who's the killer? Maybe it's one of the friends. I don't know. Yeah. Instead, no, it's just like...
I can still smell it even though the door is shut.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. These
It wasn't Kiki or Furball.
Yeah, these damn cats. Mad God, which we talked about earlier, but... Yeah. Mad God to me...
We could probably talk about this for like a whole...
Yeah. Mad God to me is an A because it's... To me...
So it's not an S? I'm surprised you didn't want it to be S tier.
Maybe. I probably... Since I'm conflicted, I'm going to do A, but... Mad God is such a interesting story about like... And mind you, I don't even know if I'm right, but of like... never-ending cycles and like fate and doom to repeat the mistakes of the past and basically not having your own identity and basically like being forced to do something of not of your own will.
Yeah, just the inevitable end of mankind.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And this was on. I mean, because like I feel like I have a hard time with movies like. You know,
you
like
hate artsy.
Yeah, I hate artsy movies, and I hate movies where it's all symbolisms because I'm like, man, fuck you.
Yeah.
But in a movie like this, I actually was like, I get it. Like, I see what I'm seeing, and I get it. Oh, for the most part, there's some things where I'm like we said, when they show the heaven area or whatever the upper atmosphere guy who's sending these assassins down to hell, he happens to be Jewish, but he looks really ghoulish kind of and evil. But they don't outright say he's evil because he's from like the heavens area, even though it's kind of bleak. But he's the one creating.
He's like dooming them though, so it's kind. I feel like he's doing sinister stuff.
Well, he's dooming these guys to go down there and die. He's like
going in his little room and I just didn't like how they made him like I don't know.
I don't know that part I didn't really understand, but like, you know, a lot of the symbolism is like he's either creating these guys or something, conscripting them.
Try to describe what happens.
So, to cut it short, just to be frank, the story basically shows the guy on the cover, the assassin, go to hell, or as you find out, it's basically it's Earth, basically. Yeah. And the point is that he has a suitcase with a bomb, and it's supposed to blow up the place to end the world of evil. But he fails. But right before he fails, he notices that there's like thousands of other suitcases empty, which means that he's clearly not the first person to try. But he gets captured and killed. And the people killing him look through his memories and see that, you know, of another agent before him who had tried to do this, like a little bit more armored. And you don't really see what happens to him. I assume it just means he failed, but they're digging through the assassin, the main guy, and they're pulling out a bunch of gold and like Bible pages, it looks like. But then they pull out like a baby worm with like a mouth, and the doctors rush it to this giant plague doctor witch lady, who then takes it to some like alchemist guy, who crushes the baby up into like a powder, and then the plague doctor witch lady, they turn the screaming baby that they pulled from the guy's body into like a brick, and then the plague doctor lady opens like a rip and tear into space and time and throws the brick in, which then blows up and turns into like a new universe, and you see like life begin again, and basically it's, you know, like looks like modern day kind of, and you see a bunch of rebels or anarchists, whatever, with the same kind of almost look as the assassin we see earlier, and they have a suitcase bomb as well, and they're trying to, you know, blow up a tower or something, but then they get killed by the police, and then you see the whole world get nuked and blow up. But you see that they've done it multiple times where they're throwing the obelisk slabs and creating new universes, so it's signifying like it's this never-ending cycle of like one power or thing trying to overcome another, and then no matter how many like restarts the universe gets, it always is the same thing, which is like one power, someone will always want to be above someone else, which in turn creates an endless war, which then destroys life. And so it's just like this crazy, like, you're just like, oh my god, like what the fuck am I like, what? But it's just, I love the stop motion. It's like just so visceral.
It has the best artistry of any movie we've watched in this list.
Creativity is a plus. It's
basically metaphor on metaphor on metaphor, like different layers.
But to me, it was just so like, I understand it. I was like, I get it. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. Like, I genuinely had a good time. I would definitely rewatch it again. I'd probably buy it on Blu-ray.
So what was your favorite part of that movie?
Honestly, just the aesthetics. Like, I think my favorite part was the first assassin right before he gets caught. Like, just him exploring the world.
I agree.
And all the freaky shit you see where you're like, oh my god.
I love how they didn't show us there's an army of assassins coming down, because when you get to the scene where there's like so many suitcases, your like heart drops and you're like, shit, this guy is not the first one to do this, and he's probably not gonna make it. And that, I felt like that scene was so good, and that was like the peak of the movie. And they couldn't really live up after that, but that's okay. It was still very good.
Yeah, no, this is you know what? No, yeah, I'll put it up here. This is a S for me. Happy Death Day.
Oh, okay. Not very scary.
Not scary. This is another one where it was like a comedy almost.
Yeah, it's a slasher, but even calling it a slasher, I don't know if it's accurate.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I would definitely rewatch it again.
Yeah.
Definitely would be a good movie with friends.
And you said there's more, like...
Yeah, there's a second one.
I'd watch the second one, because it was good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good enough where I would watch the sequel.
I had low expectations for this movie.
Same.
And I was surprised.
They did a good job where it's like, you know, the whole Groundhog Day thing, like, oh my god, who's killing her? And she's such an unbearable asshole that it could literally be anybody killing her.
I loved that they did that, because it was so, like, after she realizes that, okay, someone killed me, it's like, girl, it could have been any single person you met that day. Yeah, it's like, wow,
you're so terrible that, it could have been everyone. And so...
Like, at one point, it's like, is it her dad killing her? Is it her, you know, like, it's just
well,
like...
and at one point, they're like, duh, that's the killer. And it's not. Remember?
That was the best plot twist ever. I did not see it coming at all.
You're like, oh, like, she stopped him. But then she wakes up, she's like, what the fuck? And then when she finds out who the real killer is, you're like, oh, fuck. All right. Yeah. Okay, all right, okay. Like, that's... No, it's... Yeah, no, and very enjoyable.
But as far as a horror movie, if I had known the vibe of it, I wouldn't have watched it during
That's true.
our horror movie
I would say
kind of vibes, but...
I'd say because we're doing a horror movie tier list, it gets a point off because it's not really horror, it's a comedy. Because I was going to give it an A, but I think I'll do B.
I think B is right. What is this?
Dark Harvest.
Okay, I like this one.
This was a good one. Cinematography was great.
Yeah.
I think it has a weird reference to the band Misfits.
Oh,
I think because of their masks. Their masks look identical to the Misfits, especially because they're supposed to be like punk rock kids.
Okay.
I think, I don't know, but I love the cinematography. I love the design of the what is it, Sawtooth Jack or whatever the fuck his name is.
It was creepy.
Yeah, like set design, everything was good. I just hate that it was so predictable. I mean, the moment.
I'm just wondering if like maybe because we've watched so many horror movies, it was predictable to us.
Well,
but it did feel very like set up. Like.
Well, it was so the moment they killed the creature at the very beginning, and then they were like, "Whoever kills the creature, you get to leave the town."
I know.
And then
like, here's your brand new car.
here's your brand new Corvette, and then you see him driving off into the into the blackness.
Again.
I was like, let me guess, they kill the fucking thing, and then every year the winner gets turned into the thing, but they didn't really explain like why they do that. Like,
I'm assuming from the way that mayor guy was talking was like, it's like they made a deal to get good harvest.
Yeah, but they have to sacrifice.
But they're telling the town people like, if we don't do this, something horrible will happen.
Yeah.
But it was actually the opposite. If we do this, good things happen. So, but it's kind of like they're outweighing all the teenagers that end up.
Yeah, they have
killed.
to sacrifice kids.
You're not just sacrificing the winner because. Even at the beginning, I think he only killed one person.
Oh yeah.
He kills a person.
Yeah.
In the next year when.
Oh god, he kills that whole cellar full of kids.
He kills like almost all the teenage boys. I'm
yeah,
like, bro.
yeah. You're right. I didn't like the ending because I'm like, bro, go over there. Like
the ending felt so rushed. Like I was.
It did because.
Why didn't she go try to help him? And why didn't the?
Yeah, she sees the farmer drive away. It's like. Homie, he's probably still breathing.
The dad literally kills the farmer and could have dug his son up as well, right?
He doesn't kill the farmer.
Oh, I thought he did.
No, he just shows up afterwards.
Oh.
And he's like, get out of here. I'm like, your son could still be alive.
Yeah.
Go bury it. Go.
That is true.
Go dig his ass up.
That is true.
And then so it's just like, and then the dad being like, get out of here. I'm like, why don't you go with her? Your whole family's dead. Your wife's dead. Both your kids are dead. Mm-hmm. Just fucking leave. And I was just like, okay. But yes, it was like, it gave me a very, like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel spooked.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, this is a nice Halloween vibe.
It was Halloween-y for sure. My favorite thing about this movie was I loved the feeling of like, okay, everyone in the town, this is our yearly tradition. And it's so vague that even when the kids are learning about it, they don't really understand it. And so it's like shrouded and like, until you're that age, you kind of learn about it a little bit, but you don't really know until you're experiencing it. And so it kind of had this interesting, like, coming of age lesson a little bit, but not really. Because when you watch it, you're like...
Well, I was always so annoyed because I'm like, bro, like, you've got your pumpkin monster brother, like, you're right there at the church. Like, go, like, instead he's like, sorry, bro.
I know.
I'm like, what the fuck?
So dumb.
Like, and then I was like, oh... He did it on purpose because he wants to be the winner so he can have a car and try to do a getaway because he also has a gun.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend hands him a gun. I'm like, oh yeah, he's about to like fake out the cop by getting pulled over and be like, okay, officer, boom.
Yeah.
And then leave. Instead, he's like, okay, officer, drops his gun. He's like, and just starts running. I'm like, what are you doing, you dummy? Know. It's just.
Also, I didn't understand the vibe of like, it seemed like they were trapped in the town.
Yes.
But the girl who was his love interest, her parents left. And then they just get killed later by some crazy dude. The crazy
Oh, that's right,
yeah.
Yeah.
So they can leave.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just confused. It makes it feel like they're the only town in the world when you're watching it. But it's like, that's not true.
Yeah, and it's like, well, they're in the Midwest somewhere, maybe Nebraska or something.
Yeah.
It's like, there's got to be a town nearby.
Yeah, right?
Like, and someone's got, like, yeah, you got to have visitors at some point.
It was just so, I loved the feeling of, like, the whole town is in on it, and they don't tell the kids.
Yes.
That was cool about it, but especially when you can see it coming that the winner is, like, going to be the next one. But it's fucked up when the poor parents were like, "No, you gotta go do it, kid," and they were like, "No, I don't want to do this."
Yeah,
And
and they're like beating their kids up.
We want
and
a new
stuff.
house and we want a new car.
Yeah. They're like, "Do you want to live in the poor area forever?"
Yeah. So there was like some interesting tones in there. I think it's A or B.
I'd say B.
B. What is this one?
Sea Fever.
I like this one.
I like this one too.
Yeah.
It's
Right off the bat, I feel like this one is an A. It's not quite an S, but I feel like it's better than just the middle of the road B tier.
They definitely did a good job of like, ooh, like you're out in the ocean. It's this creepy thing, and you never figure out what the thing is. It's like a giant squid jellyfish, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's also like, oh, it didn't even like try to kill the humans on board. It thought the boat was a whale and was trying to infect it,
Yeah.
and that's why it was like pushing its little like
Sucker
tadpoles,
thingies,
into the boat. And you're like, oh, that's spooky. And then I mean, it's not even really that the people go crazy; they just fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh god, like their eyes fucking blow out and.
You said it though, where you said this is the vibe of the thing.
Yes.
And that is completely right. Like, if you're missing that vibe of the thing, you watch this movie.
Yeah, because it's a very who's infected and,
we're all infected.
Yeah, I gotta destroy the boat so that we don't ever make it to land.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, fuck, okay. Obviously, the only part I really don't like is the very end when the girl's like, I'm infected.
I know.
Jumps back into the water.
She was just begging to die.
And she's like, I'm just gonna swim towards the giant squid monster. And it's like, why? Why the fuck?
I didn't like that either.
Because I would have been like, you know what? Like, I think I would have rather just been left out there on a raft and die slowly than to dive into the ocean and get eaten by that fucking thing.
I will say the monsters look so cool. I loved how they looked.
Well, it was so like, it doesn't even really have a form.
It was like that color.
Oh yeah, like
luminescent.
Yeah, or luminescent
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, no, I like the vibe of like you really only saw its tentacles. You didn't even see what the fuck it was because it's like, ooh, the dark depths of the ocean, like spooky.
And also like the thing, they go to that other boat and see the dead people, and they're like, "What happened here?"
Yeah, and they're like, "Don't tell anybody."
They're like, "Keep it."
Even though in the thing they're like, "Yeah, we went over there and they all killed themselves." Like, oopsie whoopsie.
I think it's an A in my opinion.
Yeah. No. That's oh, FNAF.
Okay, I feel like we need to be careful with how we rate this one.
Yeah. All you FNAF people, don't come at me, please.
We are FNAF stans now.
Yeah, right. I think
I was surprised at how good it was. I actually had low expectations for this one.
I don't know anything about the games really. I've played the first one a little bit. I don't know any of the lore. Obviously, I know who MatPat and Corey Kenshin are, so I understood that. But like, they kept showing. Remember that little bobblehead guy? Remember he opens the locker and he's like, oh, and he turns it around.
Yeah.
And then later on, he's like, oh, and it happens again. He's like, oh. I guess that's some like a thing in the game, and I'm like, I don't understand it. And the main bad guy wearing the suit, I guess that's some kind of bad guy also in the game.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I didn't fucking know that, but it's wasn't bad. It was so tame.
So tame.
So like.
I wish they just went full rated R.
Yeah.
Because I told you, like, I love the idea of this like super dark story about like basically a child killer.
Yeah.
Like
psycho
pedophile.
Yeah, who owns a pizzeria who then stuffed the kids' bodies into animatronic suits.
Like, they could have made it so horrific.
Yeah.
And this other layer of the guy who his brother is, I mean, obviously it's the same guy at the end, but like they have all this trauma with like childhood stuff. It could have been so horrific and so deep and so like
we were saying
disturbing.
Earlier while we were eating that to condense the story to not be so filler, they should have had it where the main character had gone to Freddy Fazbear's as a kid, and that's where his brother got kidnapped, but they could never find his body, and then you could still do the security guard plot.
Yeah.
And be where like he went to jail for because he's so scared about kids being abducted.
Yeah.
And then you could be where he gets approached and by the recruiter guy, and it's like this is the only guy offering him a job.
Yeah.
He's like, hey,
he's like desperate.
And you could even have him be lying, and he's like, hey, I know the owner of Freddy Fazbear's. He needs a security guard.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Yeah. And he's using it to find clues or, you know what I mean? Like find
well,
something about
I'm
his
saying
brother.
like the guy who offers him the job, the main character job, turns out to be the crazy pedophile killer.
Yeah. No, but I mean like the.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But well, you could even have the main guy be like, "Oh man, I really don't want to because I have so much trauma there." But then you could be like, he's like, "Well, I never got to like maybe I can solve what happened to my brother."
Yes.
And then you have him go there, and then have the whole fucking movie be like one night, or I mean, I guess since the movie's 5 nights, I believe, have like most of the movie be like he's at the location, trying to figure out like looking through, I don't know, old security tapes and stuff, trying to figure out what happened to his brother. Like, it was just so much filler almost, where I was like, you're not doing it. Like, the game takes place in the security room.
They didn't have enough time to do the whole side plot of his own brother and his sister. You're so right. They did not have time for that.
Well, and they didn't really do, like, they didn't do anything with the animatronics. Like, they kill the robbers, and you don't see it at all, really.
And then they kind of stalk them.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh my god, they're tickling me, brother. Like, don't get mad.
Yeah.
Haha. Like, let's have a heart-to-heart with the animatronics. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That gave me like fan service vibes.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, this is so childish.
Yeah.
And maybe the fan base, it's for the fan base, but like I said, like, I remember Five Nights at Freddy's being a huge thing, like, even when I was like 18, 19, so it was like 12-year-olds playing it back in like 2014.
So somebody would be like in their 20s.
Yeah, like early to mid 20s now.
So they could handle like a rated
Yeah,
R.
that's why I'm like, why are you still trying to make it for like 9-year-olds? Like, what? Like,
I don't know.
And I mean, I guess they already greenlit a sequel apparently, but I was like,
you basically only see one death the whole movie, or one kill.
Yeah, and it's a shadow.
And it's a shadow, and it's like someone gets cut in half.
Yeah.
And everything else is like, you don't see it.
Yeah, it's...
So, I like you said, it's not rated R, but... So, I don't know. I think it's like, honestly, it's like a C, a C or a B, because they, like, didn't go hard enough.
I'd say it's a B. I'd put B. Final Exam.
Okay, this is
F.
This is a shit tier.
There's really not much to say about this.
This one's iconic because the killer is so lame.
Yeah, it's the most low effort fucking Michael Myers wannabe copy, like 1981 slasher movie. So stupid. I mean,
so 80s.
Yeah, it's as cookie cutter as it comes. They basically were like, oh my god, Halloween's so popular. Let's basically have this guy mimic Michael Myers.
But they didn't even want to pay for a mask. They were like,
yeah, it's just some fucking guy that looks like Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
There's no motive. There's no nothing. Which you could say that about Michael Myers, but at least it's like...
They even got like a budget Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
To like be in it.
And it's just so dumb, and like the kills are so stupid. Half of them you don't even see. It's just so stupid. So low effort. Ugh, it's just so dumb. Like, I could watch it, but I'm just like...
I wouldn't watch it again. There's so many good slasher movies that just blow this one out of the water.
I definitely wouldn't watch it again.
And it wasn't even, like we said, like, sometimes it's so bad it's good. It wasn't even that. It was boring.
Yeah, a fucking coach comes in at the end and is like, I'll save you, grabs a bow and arrow from his fucking... One arrow. Grabs a bow and one arrow. And he's like, stop or I'll shoot. Shoots the guy, and it does a weird, like, freeze frame, fast forward. The killer turns around, grabs the arrow, runs at the coach. The coach runs at him, too. And he just stabs the coach in the chest with the arrow. I'm like...
It was literally hilarious.
What the fuck is this bullshit? Like, this is so dumb. And I guess we're at the
last one.
Yeah, we're at the last movie now. Baskin, this is a Turkish movie. honestly, I was kind of vibing with it in the first like 20 minutes, and then it really just fell apart. Where I was like, okay, I'm like, what are you trying to do?
It had a lot of gross shit happen.
Yeah, they were high on the gross factor. A lot of sex mixed with like dirty, like gore.
Blood, dirt.
Yeah, like blood, dirt, and fucking at once. Yeah. It was just, and it felt.
It probably was one of the. I'm trying to think. It's probably one of the goriest movies we saw.
Yeah. Especially at the very end. But there's like, I don't know. To me, it felt like they were trying so hard to A, be really artsy, but B, be like, oh my god, like look how gross we are. We're, there's the scene where they stab this guy's eyes out, and then they bring out this lady who has like a goat skull like stitched to her face, and they like force him.
How are you gonna say this?
They force him to,
do it.
Have sex with her against his will, basically, and then they kill him, or they don't even kill him.
Well, they don't kill him.
Yeah, he like strokes out, like literally has like a heart attack, and a tarantula comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And then the goat face lady gives birth to like a rock.
It was the
or like
grossest,
a cocoon.
Weirdest shit.
It was really weird, and he's like slitting another guy's throat, and this creepy midget albino guy has like cult followers who he's cut their eyes off of, and they're like always like fucking each other while eating
ambiguous.
But they're like eating like people while they're like fucking, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird, and it feels like it's just like gross out stuff just to be like, look how edgy we are, oh my god. And like, and then at the very end it's like a time travel thing where it's like, what? Like it's back to the beginning of the movie, and it's like a never-ending cycle. It's just they're trying to do so many things where I'm like, I don't get it. It's annoying me, and it's just gross to be gross.
Yeah. And looking back on it, the scene where the guy gets scared in the bathroom, what did that have to do with anything?
Oh yeah, well I guess it turns out that it was like the midget guy behind him in the bathroom. But nothing came of it. Because he's like one of the first guys to die.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So it's just like...
Yeah, that guy doesn't even make it down there to see that guy, the midget guy.
Yeah, he gets eaten by those people. This, like, I'm a D or F. Like,
I think it's probably a D.
Okay. That's... Okay. That seems about right. So we had the most in the B category.
Yeah, which is to be expected.
Not bad.
Anything that needs to be moved, you think?
I mean, these are tough because it's like, like it could be that, it could be that. So if you had to pick your best out of the don't include S tier, what would it be? Only A through F. Which obviously you're probably not gonna pick the F, but yeah, that's tough.
One that you would like, you felt like most like interested in.
Well, just from a rewatch perspective, I would probably pick Alive and VHS 94, I think, or 80, 89, whatever.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm feeling too. Like VHS 94, I really loved that one.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, none of the C ones. Well, I'd rewatch Pyramid, but just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess that's it. This was all new movies we've never seen for the month of October, and from S to even Off the Fucking Boundary to the worst 2 fucking movies ever made. Don't watch these. Or watch these. And especially, God, these 2, if you love these 2, please tell me, like, your reasoning for it.
Maybe we missed something, Maybe we were, like, not paying attention or something, but...
I would love to hear it, so... that is going to be it for this video. I know it's been a long time, but I appreciate you sticking around. And yeah, no, I would say take a look at most of these movies right here. So
definitely the top 3.
Yeah, so watch these and tell me what you think. But for now, I'm out.